always remember.
Long time no see Will of the Force subscribers. Hey, happy Monday. What's up, dude? How we feeling?
Bro, Star Wars Celebration coming off hot off the press this weekend.
Yeah. It's been a heck of a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As you can tell, Grayson and I were not in Japan because we're here not in Japan. We would still be in Japan right now, flying back or on a plane right now.
Yeah, next time, maybe next year in 2027, you'll catch us on a plane from LA or wherever we're flying to doing this, but not this time.
But you will be able to catch us on a plane. However, actually, I haven't discussed the details with you yet on whether or not you're flying or you're driving to Rebel ScumCon in August 8th through the 10th. It'll be a lot of fun. And hey, next year there's no celebration, but you know what there is? Rebel ScumCon. It'll be so much fun, dude. I guess I should introduce us both. Hey guys, I'm Will. If you're new here, what's up? This is a podcast, I guess you could call it that, video conversation thing that started out as scene breakdowns, but we have transitioned into a live stream, more conversational based thing, which is something that I know I miss doing and Grayson missed as well. So guess what? Grayson is here from Mortis FM. Everybody say hi, Grayson.
Hi, Grayson. Oh, sorry, that's me.
You're not everybody, dude. All right. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we just got off of Star Wars Celebration, and the title of this live stream is A New Star Wars Golden Age. Now, am I reaching? Is it bait? We don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to discuss it. But there was a heck of a lot of new stuff announced over the 3 days. Honestly, they came out hot on Friday. That first day, that was like wild. What did we get? 3 new announcements just on Friday, right? Ryan Gosling, Mando, and then Maul was on Friday too, right?
Yep, Maul was late in the night for us. It was later in the day. That's normally with Celebration. They usually put all of their big announcements on the first day, and then things that are kind of more like actively in development on the second day. But yeah, like the two big ones that we did not know about with Starfighter and with Maul Shadow Lord, and then just more info on Mando and Grogu, which was pretty sick. I'm very excited to talk about some of these. We've already been talking a little bit about them, of course, throughout the weekend, but kind of put out the thoughts out there with y'all.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is between Maul and the Ahsoka stuff, and we're going to kind of go into each specifically between that. And honestly, I'm stoked for the Ryan Gosling movie, and I'm stoked for the Mando movie too. I feel like, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, like the Mando movie is giving major like Indiana Jones vibes from what I'm getting from it, which is really cool. And at Celebration a few times, Favreau brought up specifically George Lucas and what he did with Star Wars and like his inspirations, but seeing what he did with like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. And I think that's going to be a really big inspiration for what we end up seeing, because Mando's an adventure side of things. So like if you were to add like the dum 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 dude, to Mando, I think it would look just as sick. But first, let's say what's up to the people in the chat. Hey everybody, what's up? At 1:46 p.m. today, so that's my time. I don't know what was that. That would have been 3:46 for you, Grayson.
Correct.
Ashton said he was first in line.
First in line, Ashton the GOAT, dude.
Let's go, dude. Ashton's the best. If you don't already follow Ashton on Instagram, that guy is one of the smartest Star Wars fans I have ever consumed content from. Like he is a musical wizard when it comes to stuff, and his content is, as Anakin would say, wizard as well. What's up, dude? Let's go. Gates, baby. Hashtag Gates, baby. We're starting off with a hashtag Gates. John Mitchell is here. Are we thinking Filoni's movie is December 2027 now? Why would you say December? but I don't know. Hey,
I have a
Grayson,
thought
that
of
looks like a question, doesn't it?
It is a question, yeah.
That's a question. Hey guys, if you have questions, there's a big yellow bar on the bottom of the screen. I'm not mad at you guys. I'm just kidding. It
Calm
says
down,
hashtag,
Will.
yeah,
Don't yell at
hashtag
them.
hashtag YD or YFDYR. Your focus determines your reality. If you have a question, and Grayson and I will bring it up to discuss, but that way we know who's got questions and who doesn't. Grayson's Marvel Rivals buddy is here. Hey, what's up, Noah? Hey, dude.
Yep.
Nice to see you.
John Cena.
Oh my gosh, John. Hey, thanks, dude. It's a lot of fun putting together.
That's pretty sick. That's
And Skywalker Ryan is here. Happy Monday. How's it going,
what's up,
everyone?
Ryan?
We're chilling. It's
Ryan.
a Monday.
It is a Monday. Star Wars Monday.
Star Wars Monday. It's a quiet Monday, considering the 3 days that we had. But
Yeah.
Grayson, we got something to talk about off the top. Kind of. I feel like this might be. Is this in the order of how it was released for Celebration? Is how our topics are now that I'm thinking about it?
No, there's only 2 that are swapped.
Okay.
That's for a reason, but pretty much, yeah. But I mean, we might as well start with the first heavy-hitting topic. Yeah, you got it right there. Ryan Gosling directed, or he will be directed by Sean Levy, but the movie Star Wars Starfighter will also be directed by Sean Levy, set 5 years after The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
May 28th, 2027.
Do you think there's a, before we talk about the movie specifically or like the casting or anything, which to start off, I am incredibly excited for this movie. I love Ryan Gosling, and I know you do too. But like, look, I started off, anytime I see like a big name go into a Star Wars project, kind of like a Jude Law for Skeleton Crew or something like that, you're like, I don't know. There's that air to Star Wars where there's more, I guess, more underrated people, like great actors all around, but people who don't have like it wouldn't be like Chris Pratt in Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, they're like the big names, right?
Right.
But Ryan Gosling is a pretty big name. And seeing his name pop up for all of this, I think is going to be extremely cool because of his track record.
I also think it kind of fits the vibe of maybe what they're trying to put down of like, I don't know, that we really don't know anything about the plot of this movie, but like, what I will say is, I mean, Ryan got, like, I don't know a single bad project that Ryan got. Like, there's only one movie I can think of that even if it's considered bad, there's a big group of people that still really love it. Like, he doesn't pick bad projects. La La Land, Blade Runner 2049, the Barbie movie. The list goes on and on. He just puts out bangers, and he's good at what he does. Also, people should watch The Nice Guys. If you want more of a comedic movie with Ryan Gosling, it's amazing. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to assume he's going to be a starfighter pilot, and I think that fits perfectly.
Yeah. I mean,
because
of what movie, Grayson? Where he's commandeering a vehicle? What movie is that?
Oh, you know, good old Drive. He drives.
Looking inside you.
Yeah, I've like Blade Runner 2049 and Drive are like some of my favorite movies of all time, and so naturally, like, I'm a huge just Ryan Gosling fan, and he's just been on a hot streak lately. And of course, getting Sean Levy, who, I mean, hot off the heels relatively with Deadpool and Wolverine, and then Fall Guys, Ryan Gosling movie. Thank you, Ryan. But I'm thinking of Free Guy. That was the Sean Levy movie, which is it's a fun time. It's like, it's nothing crazy, but what do you like? What are you expecting or speculating from this movie?
If I didn't know that there was a Rey film and a trilogy with Simon Kinberg in production right now, I think that's where my head would have initially gone, of it being like, oh, it's 5 years after the sequels. We've got a bunch of sequel characters. Rey is probably like New Jedi Order, but that seems to be the story of confirmed of Charmin Obey-Chinoy's movie
Yep.
and the trilogy with Simon Kinberg, which were not necessarily really talked about, which we'll discuss later at
Right. Right.
Celebration, which was kind of a bummer to see, being that the news of the Ray movie was so big at last Celebration. At Celebration,
Hmm.
well, not they didn't call it Celebration London, they called it Celebration Europe, right?
Europe. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's where my head initially was going to go if I didn't know. But seeing Sean Levy come out on stage and like every interview, they hit like four main topics. It's
Hmm.
not the same characters, different
Completely
story,
standalone.
different timeline, and
Hmm.
then Ryan Gosling had Star Wars bed sheets. And those are pretty
Yep.
much the four interview topics they go back and forth on the
Yeah.
entire time. And I know the news has already been out for what? This is day 4. That's all it's
Yeah.
been out. So
Yeah.
but they did so many interviews and so much press during that weekend that we kind of have a basis at least for what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I will say, based on the movies that I love that Ryan Gosling is in, dude, what's the movie with him and Gwen Stacy from Amazing
Oh,
uh
not is it Punch Drunk Love?
no, Crazy Stupid Love.
Crazy Stupid Love.
Dude,
Yes.
that movie, if you want a good rom-com, that movie is
Yeah.
so good. It's
Steve
it's
Carell. Yeah.
Yep, Steve Carell
Yeah.
and Kevin Bacon's in it. Um, yeah, Kevin Bacon,
Oh.
famous for the Guardians of the Galaxy
I was
Christmas
about to say
special.
that exact same thing when they steal him. I love that.
Yeah, but that's a really good movie. But honestly, The Gray Man, like seeing
Yeah.
him as a action star, and I know he's
Oh
done
yeah.
other action stuff too. Like if you want to talk about a guy who's going to pilot a ship and probably uh, have a popped up collar and maybe a little bit of a machismo about him, Han Solo. He already played a Harrison Ford character in Blade Runner 2049 with
Yeah. In
Harrison
fact,
Ford
with
there.
Harrison Ford in it. Yeah.
So I think you could connect the dots pretty well there.
Yeah. I
What do you
I
think?
talked I talked with Cole a little bit. That
Shout out
I
to Cole from Mortis FM podcast.
yes, my best friend and co-host of Mortis FM. We were speculating like I my lead speculation, and Cole agreed with me, is that I don't think it will be like him being a New Republic starfighter pilot,
No.
or Resistance or First Order. I think it's going to be completely freelance. I think he'll be honestly, if I had to speculate, I feel like it's going to be almost kind of like I haven't watched all of Resistance, but you know in Star Wars Resistance where they have all of like the fighter pilots in
Yeah.
like on their little thing and they're it's a kind of like this social club thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Even kind of inspired by like Akira a little bit, or like almost like a biker gang, like guys in cool jackets and really cool decked out starfighters, and it's all for the love of the game, right?
Yep.
And honestly, I pitched this to Cole just because I think it's kind of funny, but I do kind of love the idea of this. In the movie Drive, he does not have a name in that movie. You know what
Yeah.
his character's name is called?
I know they don't say his name.
He's the driver.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what if like this is, and they're probably not going to do it because I feel like it'd be a little too derivative. But it would be really cool in the same vein of that, or even like Star Lord from Marvel, if he instead of Starfighter being like what he is, that's his name. That's like almost like
Yeah.
even like Skywalker, where it's like, hey, that's the Starfighter. That's him. That's the guy.
Yeah.
He's like this legendary pilot, or this up and coming pilot, like trying to become the renowned starfighter. And maybe that's a stupid little like speculation.
No, I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's kind
I
of
kind of
sick.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like they
so I don't
refer
know.
to him as Starfighter. Hey, Starfighter.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it
like
fits for a Star Wars. You got Skywalker, you got Star
mhm,
Killer, you
yep,
got uh uh Dark Lighter. There's so
yeah,
many.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a couple like High Republic characters that also kind of have a name like that as well. That I'm like, so I'm like, I mean, whether it's his real name or kind of like a induced title per se, that could be cool. But I do speculate it being more because and I don't know if we know this is currently in production or not. It's kind of up in the air, and they didn't acknowledge it either at Celebration. But with the Rogue Squadron movie, um,
Yeah.
I don't speculate it to be like that. Like because Rogue Squadron, I always got the impression of like, okay, that was or is going to be about the literally like the pilots of Rogue Squadron, your Wedge
Yeah.
Antilles and people like that. This feels way more vague and broad. Um, that I feel like it's going to be more of like I said, like a love of the game. It's not about dogfighting per se. It's not going to be like this Top Gun parallel as much as it is maybe kind of like a, you know, weirdly like Fast and Furious almost.
I was gonna say, I was like, how American Graffiti of this movie if they were going to do that to fit into
Yep.
some George Lucas esque stuff.
Hot
Some
take here. Hot take here. If that's the case, and we know these characters, like some of the characters who like this, it would
You're
be
going to say
crazy
Vin Diesel should be the bad guy?
please no. That would be a little too much for me.
Yep.
But I was going to say, bring back what's her face from Skeleton Crew, but make her older. Like a old, not KB. I'm blanking. What's her name?
Fern.
Fern, because Fern was all about like.
Whoa, that's a cool idea.
I don't know. They probably wouldn't do that because that would lock them in of like, oh, but I don't.
Yeah,
I've
she's
always
alive
had this
during the sequels and all that.
I've always had this headcanon that like the Skeleton Crew gang is in Rise of Skywalker. They're in that big battle, like the Onyx Cinder is out there somewhere. That's just like a little headcanon that I have. So it would be cool if it's like Fast and Furious Social Club, like love of the game. They love starfighters. They love the adrenaline rush. They're starfighter junkies, and then it kind of turns into this almost like kind of hot shot, big shot gangster putting together a crew. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're putting together a team.
Yeah.
I'd love that. I really think that the American Graffiti style of things, especially because of oh my gosh, what's the guy's name that they named after Harrison Ford's character?
Oh, is it like Bonge Falfa or something?
Yeah, Bonge Falfa.
Yeah.
Named after Bob Falfa in American Graffiti, the one speedy
that
racer
was played
character.
by Harrison Ford, right?
Yep, that was played by Harrison Ford. So I think it would be cool. I really don't think, if I had to guess, this is going to be like a smuggler type movie, because I think everybody would just go into the theater going, "Hey, he's just Han Solo," right?
Yeah,
I think there's going to have to be some sort of deviation from the because outside of like New Rebellion pilots, Imperial like fighter pilots, and then smugglers, you really don't get people who are just like, hey, I just like flying. You know what I mean? There's always a reason why they're commandeering a ship. So for somebody to just be a starfighter pilot for the sake of wanting to fly a starfighter around the galaxy, I think is really cool. So maybe they'll do some odd jobs. Maybe it'll be the lackluster loner who's also like, hey, we need you. He's like, oh, one more job. It's the Keanu Reeves thing. But I think at the end of the day, I am super excited about it.
I've already ordered the hat. I already have a hat. Ryan Gosling's hat is on the way. He's literally me, guys.
Yeah. That's literally him. Sorry, I spelled your name wrong, Grayson.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay. If I had to, this was the only other thing I was thinking about.
Yeah.
If I had to pick like other mainstream actors to be in Star Wars, if you had to pick one, who would you throw in there?
In this movie?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. That okay, so big name actor that has never been in Star Wars before.
Yeah, somebody who you were like that Ryan Gosling caliber. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Okay. I'm suddenly forgetting every big actor I've ever known. Honestly,
I was going more on the female side of things, and
that's what I was thinking.
And I was like,
the easy answer would be Margot Robbie because of the Barbie Association.
I was going to say, I was like, an easy answer would also be Emma Stone for all the movies they've done together for like La La Land and Crazy Stupid Love and stuff like that. But like, I don't know if she would. I don't know. I mean, any Emma Stone would be great in a Star Wars movie. I love Emma Stone, but like, I don't know. I was trying to think of an actress that would be good on the other side. You know who actually? Good. No, if you have one, go ahead.
I was gonna say I watched Sinners yesterday. Phenomenal movie, by the way. Haley Steinfeld. She's great.
Whoa.
I think she could be a really cool, like counter pilot. You know, like she's got this like spunk to her that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But that's gut punch reaction. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, and I always read her last name. I never know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
She's Nebula in
Oh,
Avengers. Is it Gillian?
Karen Gillan or Gillian.
Gillen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think she would actually fit really well in Star Wars. And I know people have like fan casted her as Mara Jade if there was ever going to be
Yes.
a Mara Jade, but like I really think that she could do well in a Star Wars movie.
Yo, pull up what Ashton just said, dude. What if he's playing Corin Horn? Would that okay? How old? When Kenobi's 10 years? This you got four. You got 9 plus another 4, so that's 13 years. So he'd be like 23 in the original trilogy, but then he'd be a little old. He'd be like 53. Because like Corin Horn is like a little kid in Kenobi, because we know that
Yeah.
is Corin Horn. So that might be a little bit of a stretch. Honestly, if there was going to be a Corin Horn appearance, I think it would have been in the Rogue Squadron movie, because that's where Corin Horn made his come to fame, was in the X-Wing books.
Yeah.
And then he became a Jedi later on. But that is an interesting theory at the very least.
I don't
But
hate
Karen,
it.
yeah, no, Karen Gillan. Do you think Karen Gillan's on the same caliber of like Ryan Gosling though?
I mean, she's been in a million Marvel MCU movies. Like she's an
Yeah,
Avenger. Like if you were
that's
in
true.
Avengers Endgame, you have hit a different level of
Yeah.
like that kind of Hollywood stardom. Um,
Oh,
but
I
yeah,
got one that I think would be good where I don't like, because I'm kind of agree with you on like the, I don't want like just a crazy like, for a prime example here would be like the Mario movie, where there's it's just flooded with like tons of A-list actors. I don't want that. Like the Star Wars is at its best when it's like a bunch of unknown actors, and then you've got like 1 to 3 big actors. Like,
bro, you know that Keegan Michael Key would love to play a weird alien guy. I love
oh,
Keegan.
he would be
He would
great.
kill it. Yeah.
Yeah. Him
Think
and
about
Jordan
that.
Peele.
That's actually a good pick for like a weird sidekick alien voiced by Keegan Michael Key.
Dude, yeah.
I like that.
Put him in like a Rhodian suit or something, just like
Bro, a mainstream Rhodian
be
that
sick.
speaks English instead of speaking Huttese. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
like
that would
that.
be sick. What I was gonna say though is like people kind of always like clown on the like the Mario movie, because it's just like the ticking the boxes of like Chris Pratt, Seth Rogen, like whatever,
Jack
like
Black. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like with this, I'm like, I don't have a problem with Ryan. Like I think about the original trilogy, and it's like, okay, the first Star Wars movie was relatively unknown people, but you also had Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing, which at that time were pretty big actors.
Yeah,
like they had come
absolutely.
from the kind of golden age of like Hollywood and stuff with those horror
Yeah.
movies. And then with the prequels, like I don't remember how big at the time Liam Neeson was, but like all of those like truly maybe at the time they weren't that big, and I guess they got big because of Star Wars. But like Samuel L. Jackson was in the prequels, and that was like a
Yep.
pretty like he was even in the 90s and early 2000s was a big deal. Liam Neeson
Yep.
was a pretty big deal as
Liam
well.
Neeson had just come off of it acting in Les Mis
Oh,
before
that's crazy. Yeah.
like an onstage performance on Broadway of Les
Yeah.
Mis, and before going into the prequels, which is like that's as
Yeah.
actory as you can get.
Yeah.
Like
And honestly, like any of the times that there has been a big actor in Star Wars, it's never been a deterrent for me. It's never been like a thing where I'm like, oh, I only see them as a person, not as their character. Does that
I
make
will
sense?
say in Mando season 3, the only
Oh,
yeah, Mando season 3, but seeing Doc from Back to the
Oh,
Future, seeing his face, I was like, yeah, that's just Doc.
that
dude.
I think that episode in general. I mean, you had Lizzo, Jack Black, and Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
You're right. That is a pretty good example of maybe a little too immersion breaking when it comes
Yeah.
to yeah.
And I'm not saying they did a bad job. I know like Lizzo is like a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
like I mean, look at me. I'm a Jack Black fan. And I love Back to the Future with Christopher Lloyd. But like
course.
seeing their faces, it's a little hard to, especially in short format, like an episode of television, it's
Mhm.
hard to see them as anything else other than their larger than
There's not
life
a whole,
personas
yeah.
outside of the television show. So like,
Yeah. I guess I was
eh,
thinking more so like when they got Pedro for Mando, he at that point was on the cusp of stardom, but he wasn't really like a
yeah,
household name. Now he is a
yeah,
household name, you know?
yep,
And that's kind of that's just the Star Wars effect in general. Like even the sequel trilogy cast, like none of those. I mean, maybe I think Oscar Isaac was probably the biggest one at that time.
and maybe
Um,
I mean Adam Driver was on Girls, like
yeah,
the
but
big
he was
HBO show. Like,
yeah, but then like now they are all like all of those
oh
actors are
yeah,
household names, you know.
yeah,
And I even with Skeleton Crew, like Jude Law, like I
yep,
didn't look at him. I wasn't like, oh, that's just Jude Law. Like I was like, oh no, he played a really compelling. So I think it's yeah, is if there's a big actor that's given a decent amount of depth, then you don't really maybe that's just acting in general. But all of
yeah.
that is to say, like if they sprinkled in like one other big actor, that would be fine. I just hope it's a little bit more dynamic. You said Karen Gillan earlier. Another one would be like Zoe Saldana. Like I think she could be a
She
she'd
could
be
kill it.
yeah. And don't
She
make her a
kills it in
Twi'lek.
anything.
Don't make her a
Yeah,
Twi'lek. That would be so derivative of Gamora. Please,
yeah.
like just make her a
She's
human woman.
always green.
Yeah.
I think the best example of a movie with a lot of like larger name actors like playing main roles is probably the Solo movie. Like you've got Woody
Yeah,
Harrelson,
Woody
you've
Harrelson.
got Donald Glover,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Amelia Clark
yep, and then
with Game of Thrones.
what's his name? Who's
Oh, Paul
uh
Bettany.
Paul Bettany? Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Oh yeah,
Which
that movie is pretty stacked. I mean, and even is it? I'm trying to correctly pronounce her name. She's very briefly in it, but I think it's Tandy Newton.
oh yeah,
She's in it very briefly as
yeah,
well. Yeah, there's that one. That one's got a pretty solid cast, but I think it also works because Alden was not like a A-lister at that time.
yeah.
You know,
It
he
would
was
have
the
been
lead role.
hard to get somebody who was a known face to play. It's kind of like the Superman effect right now
Yep,
with what's his name? Who's Superman right now?
David
Why am I
Cornsweet.
David Cornsweat.
Yep.
Um if they were
By
to
the way,
get like
put that man in Star Wars, please.
yeah, put David Cornsweat in Star Wars. If you have not seen that video, hey,
Dude,
guess who posted it?
what if they casted him in Starfighter?
Bro, that
That would be crazy. I mean, my take is I want Dawn of the Jedi, but like I'll take anything.
he's okay. So, if you haven't seen the clip, there's an interview with him. There's actually a million interviews. Actually, he cannot stop talking about Star Wars in interviews.
Yeah.
But there's an interview with him that he did on a podcast that he helps produce of them asking like, oh, if you would be a character in one movie, what kind of character would you be? And he says a Jedi. But in that same podcast later on, they're doing a Q&A and they ask for book recommendations. And he just lists off the entire X-Wing
X-Wing.
series
Yep.
of books from the EU and Legends.
Yeah.
Like, imagine him, like, they do the X-Wing shot where it's going to be like, like John Favreau is going to pop up and, like Dave Filoni and all the actors and Paul Sun-Hung Lee and like all of those guys, like they all pop up in X-Wings. And then you see David Cornsweat in an X-Wing helmet, like just
sick.
pop up. That'd be sick, dude. I also think he could play a really good villain, which would be such a cool flip to see him do that after playing literally the superhero as Superman.
My like just far-fetched dream would get to be Henry Cavill to play a villain in the Old Republic and David Cornsweet to play a Jedi in the Old Republic.
Whoa!
Like, but people would be like, "Oh, it's the clashes of the Superman." Although I do think Henry Cavill would make an incredible Darth Bane. Just saying.
Yeah.
But
shave
like
his head.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's at that prime age. But yeah, I mean, David Cornsweet. You could also like if he was in Starfighter and he was another one of the Starfighter pilots, but he was Force sensitive and then later becomes a Jedi in Rey's new Jedi Order. Just saying.
He's like the Kyle Katarn of the sequels.
Bro, don't even get me started. Don't even put me on there.
Oh, man. All right. Man. Is there anything else we wanted to say about the Ryan Gosling stuff, or should we switch up to Mando?
The only thing is that Ryan Gosling he exclaimed multiple times how good the script is.
True. Very true.
Yeah, and that's like, I think with a lot of people in Star Wars, like, I don't feel like you often hear that. Not in the sense that like they think it's bad or anything, but like I can't really recall Ryan Gosling talking about like, especially with something of this caliber of fame and notoriety in like in franchise industry of him being like, this script is so good, I'm so pumped. Like,
Yeah, that's I know I listed off the 4 things of like the 4 points that he was making. He
yeah,
continues to say this script is just so good. Like
yeah,
he
and
said
I'm
it on the
like, that's
live stage, he said it in the Mando panel, he said it in um like other interviews where it was in that like the Imperial, like where they were taking like the headshot photos that they would
yep,
post
yeah, the
afterwards on
little
Celebration.
walkway.
That I saw an interview on YouTube yesterday of him sitting down with Sean Levy in director's chairs, and he
Hmm.
said the same thing of like, dude, the script is just so good. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's exciting.
it's exciting, especially, and I think there's a reason why they said this because there's kind of an air of Star Wars projects at the moment where like there's more of a list than there is of what we see. And
Hmm.
that's kind of just Hollywood in general when it comes to production of literally anything. You
Yeah.
ask anybody in Hollywood, especially when it comes to Star Wars, it is magic and literally the will of the force that these things actually come to fruition and
Hmm.
get made, like from start to finish of you seeing it in a theater. It's a miracle half the time. But when it comes to Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy on stage for the panel, there was a list somebody posted afterwards of like all of the projects that she mentioned. So it's like
Yeah.
Taika's movie, the Simon Kinberg trilogy, Charmine's movie, the Dawn of the Jedi movie, the Dave Filoni movie. Like there's so many projects that are on the board right now
Yeah.
that hearing that Sean Levy's movie is going to officially start shooting
This fall.
like this fall is that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
He's
I'm
like, this
super
isn't like an
excited about it.
announcement. Like, this movie is actively in production. Like,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, that's refreshing because, like the last celebration with the 2 movies that I think you and I are the most excited about, that being the Charmine Ray movie and the Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie.
yeah,
It's like they're not actively, like, they're still trying to get everything together, and there's kind of reason why we haven't. We'll get to it in a little bit later, but this one, it's just like, oh yeah, here's Sean Levy, here's Ryan Gosling, they're making it this fall, it's coming out in 2027. Yeah, and
yeah,
we're like, oh,
yeah.
okay,
Awesome.
cool. Yeah,
They're like, no,
yeah.
this isn't something that's in. This is going. We are shooting, and
Hmm.
that's reassuring to hear. All right,
Yeah,
let's pop into chat real quick before
of
we
course.
hop on to the next topic. Uh,
Remember,
Ashton and who else is here? Oh, hey, what's up, Tiara? What's going
Tiara.
on? Crafting on a loom, baby. If you do not follow, go follow on Instagram.
Hmm.
Hear me out. Bring in Chris Evans as Ryan's nemesis. Yeah, and give him a big old Eddie Burback mustache, dude.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
kidding me? As just make it Gray Man Part 2. The Gray
yeah.
Jedi.
Oh my
Except that
gosh.
they don't exist. Um, hear me out. They bring thanks, Tiara, for saying
Do you
that
know how to
twice.
read? Or I'm sorry.
What? What?
I'm sorry. She just said it twice. I just didn't know you.
Oh. Yep.
Yeah.
Twin Son says, bring Emma Stone and make this a musical.
Dude, that would be. I'm not gonna lie. I think Star Wars musical would probably be going a little too far for me, at least.
Tony
Like,
Gilroy made that joke about the 3-camera sitcom in Star Wars. Did
oh
you hear
yeah,
that? Yeah.
yeah,
And then somebody brought it up at the Andor premiere, and they were like, "Yes, I probably shouldn't say jokes like that anymore because they took me seriously." But he
yeah,
did say the thing about the horror movie, which kind of we'll talk about later.
yeah.
And then what's up, Downcast Bug with the Spinny Werman Yangerman Jensen profile picture from SpongeBob. Robert Pattinson was the first to come to mind. I'd
I
rather
think
them just make the Batman 2 before he hops into Star Wars. I don't want him to say yes
Yeah,
to anything else before he does Batman 2.
I will say, like, he did like the voice of one of the characters in like The Boy and the Heron, and he just
Yep.
sounds nothing like. I'm like, okay, Robert Pattinson is some like weird alien or something.
Yeah.
Would also be pretty sick,
He could just morph into whatever.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. But okay. We have the Mando movie to talk about, which is going to be pretty cool.
It is gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the Mando movie. Updates were Sigourney Weaver. We know that she is going to be playing some sort of bigwig in the New Republic. specifically in the
Like
X-wing
a
fighter side of thing. I think it kind of
yeah.
sets up where Mando season 3 left off, where uh Carson Teva is like, if I need you, I better be able to call you.
Yeah,
Um,
it seems like all the descriptions, because they did play a trailer for them. Shout out Connor Beyond the Dune Sea. He was our informant in a lot of these panels, so he was actively updating us of what was happening.
yeah,
So yeah, Sigourney Weaver, she's integrate like almost like his New Republic liaison. She's
yeah,
like in an X-wing fighter pilot costume. As far as I can, at least as far as I remember. And she's like giving Mando missions. Seems like he is almost directly and exclusively working with the New Republic, like you said,
yeah.
after Mando season 3. Um, there was like some behind the scenes stuff that they, I at least just I think they showed I think they showed these images. I don't. Yeah, no, they did because they posted them of like Dave and John in like the AT-AT set. I think. It's, at least as far as I know, where they were like they made like a full practical AT-AT set.
Yeah.
Um, and so which has never really been done before.
Really
Um,
cool. And there's actually a Collider interview that came out today that said Favreau confirmed they're working with Phil Tippett again, kind of like they did with
no
Skeleton Crew.
way.
So there's going to be some like animatronics, like stop
Yeah,
motion stuff that they're going to, which Phil Tippett is a legend for.
yeah,
Hey, have ever heard of the Rancor?
dude. Big legacy in Star Wars,
Ever
dude.
heard of a Tauntaun?
If there's a weird puppet in Star Wars in the original trilogy, it was probably him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like it's just kind of Mando and Grogu going. Oh, Zeb, of course,
Yeah.
is there. We knew that from the descriptions back of the D23 trailer.
Yes.
And it's still unclear. Obviously, like we don't really know, but it does seem like Mando has a new ship with the Razor Crest.
Razor Crest Part 2. Electric
Yeah,
Boogaloo.
like some weird I don't know, like small condensed version of the Razor Crest, because like I don't know, I don't know the story implications of that, but like as far
Yeah.
as I can tell, I didn't hear anything about people saying that they saw the
I think
N1.
I think you can say it's a Razor Crest because the new additions to Smuggler's Run, there's a portion where you're in Bespin, like Cloud City, and
Oh yeah.
you're flying with the Razor Crest.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know if that's specifically like I know it doesn't like necessarily take place, but
Yeah.
because of how much promotion they're doing for the Mando movie in tandem with the parks, like the
Mm-hmm.
Anzellans and the BDX droids, shout out to Sunny,
Yep.
the BDX droids, and then also all the new additions to like Star Tours with Mando, and then being able to like have Grogu pop up on screen while you're
Mm-hmm.
flying the Millennium Falcon on Smuggler's Run. I would think that it's the like a different version of the Razor Crest, like he got a new ship. And I think there's going to be a reason for that because the N1, the main issue that we all had with the N1, and I had minimal issues with the N1. I
Yeah.
loved the N1. I thought it was very cool. That episode of Book of Boba Fett was crazy. It was
Yeah.
such
Great.
a awesome callback to Phantom Menace, obviously, of him
Mm-hmm.
rebuilding an N1 and then being able to fly it through the trench run and all that stuff on the
Yep.
sands of Tatooine. Very cool. I think the biggest thing that we had an issue with was he is a bounty hunter, and being able to catch bounties and like throw them in carbonite, or like you have no place to store anything other than Grogu in the back. Like,
You don't have anywhere even to store like your weapons or
no.
anything. Like the N1, not to get all lore technical on y'all guys, but it's a hit and fade like assault fighter. It's like an interceptor. It's meant to be fast and attack really furiously. Family. And I guess I said Fast and Furious. And but I'm like, it's
been
cool.
a long day.
That was the end of Mando season 2. Actually, he like put his hand up at the window till I see you. Okay, anyway, that was someone has to make that edit at some point.
Wiz Khalifa should be in Star Wars. Add Wiz Khalifa to the list of A-list actors. That should be
Hey,
in
they
Star
put
Wars.
Thundercat in Book of Boba Fett, so I wouldn't put
Bro,
it past them.
Thundercat rules though.
Oh, it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
I'm not gonna say Wiz
like,
Khalifa doesn't rule, but
yeah, it's all up to preference. But yeah, like I think my best guess would be like, okay, listen, you can keep your N1 here or on Navarro, but like when you're working out of our base, like they build him a new razor. Okay, so I was talking to Cole again. Shout out Cole, with my best friend. We
Hey,
do a
Cole.
podcast together, kind of similar to this, but it's a little more. It's a lot like this. You should go check it out.
I'm gonna create a button that anytime Cole is mentioned, is just his face just pops up over, like takes over the whole screen, and just with air horns. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah,
Cole mentioned.
Yeah, Cole mentioned. It's like in Mortal Kombat where the guy comes out, it's like Toti, and then if you get that reference, you're goated.
Colbat. Hey guys, it's a Monday. Okay. What were you saying?
And yeah, anyway, I've like figured it's kind of like, okay, he still has the N1, but like, okay, think of it this way. This is, I know, kind of a stretch, but like Luke has his X-Wing, but sometimes he's not always in the X-Wing. Sometimes he's in the Millennium Falcon with the rest of his friends because they have to carry people around and cargo, and it's a more practical freighter, whereas the X-Wing is a fighter. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, where I'm like, okay, he can have two ships. I've always thought it'd be cool if they had the Razor Crest and then they had the N1 on top or like underneath it, to where like he could like get on it, put it on autopilot, and like shoot it off.
It's like the tumbler in the Dark Knight that shoots out the motorcycle. That's you know what?
I mean, also like the ghost with the little separatist ship, you know, on the back, just like
that's true.
So I've always thought that would be cool to be like, hey, we can, you know, be like, I'm gonna put it on autopilot, and then or someone else is flying the ship. I don't know.
Comparatively, though, the Ghost is way bigger than the Razor Crest, right?
Yeah, that is. I'm not entirely sure. It might.
I would assume it is.
I know the Razor Crest is a Corellian-made freighter, and the New Republic has access to the Corellian shipyards, as what we see in Ahsoka, which means it is very plausible that if Mando is working directly with the New Republic, they're like, hey, you're gonna need a bigger ship. We will make you a new Razor Crest, because from the implication of the lore in the season 1. The Razor Crest is kind of an older ship. It's not like it's kind of like an old muscle car. Which also calls back to the original George Lucas stuff. I'm completely blanking on the name. And so
American Graffiti.
Cool. American Graffiti. Yeah.
Shout out Doug Chang.
Doug. What do you mean?
Doug Chang, dude. He made the N1.
Oh, sorry. I thought he had something to do with American Graffiti. I was like, I didn't think he came.
Oh, no. But he's literally Shout out to Doug Chang.
Oh, he's the GOAT. New Doug Chang art book coming out.
Oh!
Yeah. Will's like,
rip my wallet.
Me now. Anyway, I'm going on way too long, but I think, they can find a reason for him to have like a new Razor Crest. And I'm personally happy with that, because I loved the original Razor Crest, and when it blew up, I sobbed myself to sleep. So
they love blowing up ships, dude. And then
the Marauder.
The Marauder.
Yeah, dude.
They love just nuking ships.
The coolest ones, by the way.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they just blew up the Millennium Falcon? First scene of Force Awakens, the Millennium Falcon explodes.
That would have been more tragic than Han Solo dying, I think. I think people would have been more mad about...
spoiler, dude!
Okay.
Whoa!
All right. Sorry, guys. By the way, 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens.
Yeah. What we did here, though, and this might be the most important part of the Mando and Grogu movie, is apparently they showed footage of Rada the Hutt.
Or some Hutt.
Stinky, dude. Yeah, you got to assume it's stinky. You got to assume it's Rada, based on the reports from
Hollywood Reporter, or was it Variety? I don't remember. One of the two.
I think it was THR. Yeah.
Okay.
It was Hollywood Reporter.
If you don't know, if you're living under a Star Wars rock, what is a Star Wars rock? I don't know. The Jedi Temple.
An asteroid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You are one of the worms and hiding in an asteroid, and you haven't popped your head out in a while. Jeremy Allen
Alaskan bullworm.
Is that also the same thing from a guy's profile picture from earlier? Was that what that was?
I mean, it's from SpongeBob, but I don't think. Yeah, it's Schmitty Werben Yangerboom Jensen. He was number one. Sorry, there's some SpongeBob brain rot for you.
You're telling me, dude. I know a little bit about SpongeBob, but not that much. Yeah, Jeremy Allen White, playing allegedly Rada the Hutt, and apparently a Hutt was shown, which leads you to believe that's good old Stinky from the '08 Clone Wars movie.
Thank you, Sleeping. Yes, you have to assume it's Stinky the Hutt, who, from the descriptions of what we have heard, he's jacked out of his mind.
Yeah.
From the little clip that they saw at Celebration, from the description of what they saw in that trailer.
He's like in some like arena or something, is what I heard.
Yeah, it's he's yoked, one yoked hut.
Yeah.
He's. Can you imagine just watching Jabba the Hutt do sit-ups?
No.
Like, you have to have abs somehow, right? And if there's a
Yeah.
way to look like Jabba the Hutt, and there's a way to look like a yoked hut, that means that unless there's just they're just huts who have better metabolism than others, maybe,
Yeah.
who knows? That there's going to be huts that work out.
I mean, listen, maybe he saw his dad and was like, I don't want to be like that. I want to be like, I made a joke to Cole because there's like,
ew, Dad, you're gross.
yeah, he's just like, I refuse to be Jabba the Hutt, which, I mean, listen, I don't think anybody wants to be Jabba the Hutt, but
Mila Kunis.
Is that from the Family Guy?
Yeah, dude, that's what I think of every time.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but like, there's the I'm gonna bring it up from Sklabine here. I think I forget I have access. I have power. He looks like Gracchus the Hutt from the comics, which I made a joke to Cole that like it'd be funny if like Rada had like posters of like Gracchus in his bedroom and be like that's like his Arnold, you know, where he's just like, I'm gonna be just get jacked, and then he's like, because Gracchus is in like the A New Hope comics, so like, and he's not dead, so I was like, that'd be kind of funny, you know,
dude.
Funny.
Oh man, that'd be so good. Well,
do you think he's the main bad guy, or do you like, because we don't know who the main like, that's one thing that I'm like, who is the antagonist of this? Like, you think back on,
have we ever had a Star Wars film where the antagonist is strictly CGI?
Like the main antagonist?
Like the main antagonist. The only one I could think of is Last Jedi with Snoke, but even then you have Kylo Ren.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, you've got Grievous, but then again you've got like Palpatine. So like,
and you could honestly say that Anakin is the antagonist of that entire movie. But
true. Yeah. No, I don't know. I feel like it has to be like something to do with like Mando having to like go after him or like protect him or something, you know? Like, maybe the New Republic needs Rada's resources to like help provide. I don't know.
And it would corroborate needing a bigger ship.
Yeah, because you
gotta fit.
Cannot carry.
You gotta fit Rada the Hutt in something.
Honestly, that might be the sole reason.
That would be crazy.
They're like, listen, pal, we know you like the N1. However, we need you to go capture this hut and protect him. And it is not going to fit.
the Hutt ends up being the Jaws reason of why they need to say, we're going to need a bigger ship.
We're going to need a bigger ship.
Oh my!
Unless they strap him to the hood like a Christmas tree from Christmas Vacation. It
like, his face is just flapping like a dog out of a window. That's wild.
I think that might be it. Honestly, I feel like they're gonna be like, you can't. Yeah, I don't know,
man. That's well, hey guys, we figured it out. That's why, because Rada the Hutt has to ride in the bottom of the Razor Crest.
Yeah, they're like, listen, pal, you got to just sit down here for a little while.
But that does, I mean, honestly, last point for the Mando stuff. Who is the villain?
We don't know.
We
could have an idea though of possibly some other villains. Segue. Hey, we know some stuff about Ahsoka season 2.
Whoa!
And that's happening pretty much at the same time as The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
in fact, Ahsoka season 2 will be coming out the same year as the Mando and Grogu movie, which gives you a little bit of indication of what might be going on in the greater galaxy.
Yep.
Let's just put it out there. They have confirmed, Dave Filoni confirmed, Thrawn is going to be going full assault on the New Republic, much like the heavily renowned Thrawn trilogy, Star Wars Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. Dave Filoni quoted it himself on the panel, because thankfully this is one of the panels they did show to the public a little bit after, or like it was like 30 minutes delayed, and you and I were up watching it. And we know in Mando season 3 there was the Imperial Shadow Council, so I'm kind of like, is it going to be an Imperial villain? Like, is it going to be Mando dealing with these more like Imperial remnants? Like, of course, we got the description about him like blowing up that AT-AT or whatever, but is that more like a like a cold open kind of like a side job thing, or is that going to be like,
Yeah.
oh no, he's directly going after Imperial targets? But Thrawn's back in the galaxy, and if in Ahsoka season 2, he's going to be going head to head against Akbar.
Yeah. I'm
Is...
gonna pull up the clip here of Dave saying that just quickly because I got the juice right here. So let's switch.
Don't take it from me. Take it from the GOAT himself, Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni himself. And then that way we could just watch it because it hits on a few points of kind of what Dave is talking about.
I can listen to Dave talk for literally ever,
bro.
He dropped some knowledge this weekend, man. Like truly, Sam Witwer, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, the best kinds of fans. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah. All right, where's this tab?
Roll it.
We got it. Okay.
First time. Oh yeah.
Here it is. All right. So this is Dave on the live stage at Celebration, just dropping so many hints about, well, not even hints, but just like actual information about what's going to be happening in Ahsoka season 2 and what characters will be popping up in the series.
Mm-hmm. Can we hear it?
Yeah.
I cannot hear it. So I don't think other people can. Chat, can you guys hear him? Can you read? Is that okay?
Chat, can you hear that?
Might have to...
Anyone? Just one.
No sound yet.
No sound
yet. I
yet.
have to share the audio from the from like when you share screen, there's a little toggle button that says like share audio.
But I did that. I did hit that. Whatever. I'm nuking it. Sorry guys. But basically what he says is he's like, so here's my impression of what Dave Filoni did for that. Okay? This is basically what it looks like. Here's Dave Filoni. All right, so here, I'm just going to tell you everything because that's what you're here to hear, right? Okay, so there's going to be a big battle in space at the beginning, right off the bat. There's going to be a war in our stars to the best, and then everybody's yeah, to the best, to scale, to the best of what John and I can do and our budgets. You're going to see a lot more Ezra. You're going to see a lot more Hera. You're going to see a lot more Sabine. And because you guys were mad about it, and made a big fuss, you're going to see a lot more Chopper. And then everybody goes, yeah, Chopper, D-tier droid. And then after that, after Chopper, basically he drops that Zeb is going to be in Ahsoka season 2.
He says directly that he says he's like, Dave is taking back his action figure from John.
Which is
that's kind of
awesome. I love that.
Like they keep saying the whole weekend of like, sometimes they'll like we get to borrow each other's action figures. John says like Dave is the older brother that gets all of the cool action figures, and sometimes he lets me play with them. He's like, sometimes he'll give me a lightsaber, but then in his thing there's lightsabers everywhere. It's just so funny.
Yeah, there's that clip of what is it? It's like you get an Ugnaught, I get Thrawn.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. But it is cool that Zeb's going to be making the trip from Mando season 3 to then the Mando and Grogu movie. Because the trailer description that we got from the people who were in the panel, Zeb's like highly on screen for that trailer. And then, like you said, with the D23 stuff. And then now that he's going to be popping up in Ahsoka, I think we kind of all guessed that was going to happen. It's kind of like that Clone Wars thing of like, they've already got the character render ready. Like, why wouldn't they use it again later on or in something else? So they worked that hard on Zeb. And from my perspective, Zeb looked awesome.
He looked insanely
live action.
Good.
Yeah. So it was extremely cool.
And to be honest, that was one of the points that I wish so badly at the end of Ahsoka season 1 that Zeb did show up for at least one little moment. Is
Yep.
when Ezra comes back for Zeb to be on home one and
Yep.
him to get that moment, But I need to see their first interaction after years because like they always kind of had that look who popped up in the chat here. I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt myself. Luke's lightsabers, the goat himself.
Oh, what's
Star
up,
Wars,
goat?
Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars.
My goat, my
Honestly,
goat. Yeah, that's
I-
hey, thanks for summarizing our podcast, dude.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, buddy.
Yeah, and you know what else? Star Wars. I see your Star Wars and raise you one Star Wars. What's up, homie? Hey, I'm not gonna tell you to go follow him because you probably already do. All right.
Yeah.
But if you're the one guy who lives under a Star Wars rock, it's
I'm gonna put it out here.
Luke's lightsaber.
I wouldn't be sitting here right now if this dude did not start making Star Wars content back in like 2019, 2020. Truly,
Oh, bro, same.
Yeah.
You remember that stuff like popping up on your algorithm? You're like, hey, maybe I can do this.
This guy's like,
Maybe
oh, this guy's
I-
way cooler than me. Okay. Yeah, I still have like probably back in 2020, I probably still have like edits of like that he did,
Yeah.
Star Wars
Shout out
fans
to
like-
Luke too, because Luke specifically posted stuff on Threads and keeping us
Absolutely.
updated from Star Wars Celebration of what
Front
was
row.
going on because he was on site and he was so on site that he made the recap of
Yeah, he
Star Wars
did.
Celebration for the weekend, which is super sick. Shout out to him. So very cool. Excited to see y'all at Rebels. Let's go!
Let's go.
RSC baby. It'll be the three of us and Sam Witwer, and that's it. That's all you need, dude. What's
we're
up?
They're gonna throw us in a room with a mini fridge, and it's just gonna be like
And a
Shadow Lord,
bunch of
Shadow Lord,
sodas.
Shadow Lord.
Yeah. Hey, can I ask you a bunch of questions that you're definitely not going to answer and pander otherwise because you're Sam Witwer and you can't give away?
Hey, is
and
Darth
you're
Maul on the
media
show?
trained? Yeah.
Maybe.
And he'd be like, well, I think Dave Filoni and I, when we talked about Darth Maul with George Lucas, and it's just going through those points. But we love it, dude.
I was about to
can't
say, I'll
wait.
sit. I don't even care. I'll sit there. Back to Ahsoka though. Yeah. So I mean, basically, it seems like the story is going to be split into two parts.
Yeah.
With one side being the Peridia Galaxy. We don't really have a name. We don't really have a name of the galaxies, but basically, main galaxy, side galaxy, New Republic stuff.
Did it
and
say
then
it in the Timelines book?
the Timelines book?
Oh, actually, not Timelines. The locations. Does it give a
locations?
name for the galaxy? Hey, guys.
Dude, that book's rocks. I've got it back
Yeah.
there.
If you haven't picked this up yet, it's incredible.
It has an entire map of the chase of Coruscant from Attack of the Clones.
absolutely insane.
Crazy, dude. Like, literally, it shows the path of where Obi-Wan got, the droid that he was riding on got sniped. Insane. Actually insane. Do I need to go get mine as well? Do we need to, cross-reference here? Cross the streams, as the Ghostbusters say?
I mean, we could do
dude,
that. Come on.
Luke, you were telling me Ahsoka Season 2...
It's gonna make me ascend.
Yeah, just...
Just float. Oh. Dude, that's how I feel about Ahsoka and for Shadow Lord. Are you kidding me? I get to
Dude.
listen to a full series of Sam Witwer doing Maul's voice for an entire animated series. If you had told me when when Clone Wars season 7 came out that there would be an entire series of just Darth Maul,
Dude.
insane.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm putting myself out here, but I think it's because everybody else does this. There is no scene I recite more in my car on a long drive than my impression of Maul speaking to Ahsoka at the end of Clone Wars season 7, dude.
Dude.
Oh, it's so good. Does
So
it say
good.
about the galaxy? Does it say? No.
I couldn't find it. I mean, maybe you
Okay.
can't. There's a bunch of outer regions and unknown regions and stuff like that.
Mm.
But I didn't see a section where it looked like the star map in Ahsoka where it just showed our galaxy and then showed where
Yeah.
Peridia is. So didn't see that at all.
See, y'all going to Ruins of the Sith? Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
What do you think I'm drinking out of, dude? What are we talking about?
He's walking in, dude. Yeah, dude, the insanimation. Yeah, insanimation. That's the insanity and animation.
We're starting a company.
Yeah. So, well, okay. We need to talk about probably the biggest piece of news that I think is important for Ahsoka season 2. and that's Rory McCann has been cast as Balin Skull, filling the
Very true.
shoes of the late and
Balin.
great Ray Stevenson.
Yeah.
Um, we've got we've got some. I saw some images when we had your Instagram pulled up, but if you've probably
Oh.
seen them already, these are publicly available, dude. First of all, I'm so glad they're continuing this character
Oh,
because I
absolutely.
Ray Stevenson just did a phenomenal job. One of my new favorite characters and villains. And to see the reverence that Dave had for Ray and his legacy and the passion he put in for that character and wanting to find the absolute best fit possible is just it made me so emotional, dude.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
he's
oh boy.
He's like, I mean, from what I heard, like Dave was getting teary. Look at that, dude. Look at
Yeah.
that, man. That, oh my gosh, dude. He looks so good.
And him with the lightsaber, dude.
Aura,
Like,
aura, bro.
yeah, he looks great. And I really enjoy that Dave made such a point to call out how he gets choked up. And I know Connor was there giving us the live of
Yep.
like what happened afterward. And he said specifically like that it was hard for him to watch because it was hard for Dave to get through during that portion of them talking about Ray's passing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think the biggest thing here is Dave saying one, which was kind of insane to hear that
Mm-hmm.
he specifically pointed out that they didn't know if they were going to continue
He
without
said, I didn't know
Ray.
if I could go on.
Yeah, which is insane to hear that. Look, I love Ray Stevenson, and I think it's completely valid that to lose a sorry for the Star Wars pun here, but like to lose a force like him
Mm-hmm.
from not only his character as Balin, but also his work in the animated stuff as well. Working in Star Wars before that, I mean, to hear Dave Filoni say that the second season of the show that he's writing in and creating in live action of his favorite character that he's put so much effort into with Ahsoka, to say that it's not going to go on because of the loss of the hole that cannot be filled with Ray Stevenson's passing. It was insane to hear, but it also just it totally makes sense because he was such a huge, fantastic part of that show. And
He
honestly,
stole the show, dude.
outside of him and Shin, they were my favorite parts to every time they were on screen. I was captivated. It was
Yeah.
phenomenal. But Dave did make a point of saying that Rory is going to work extremely hard, not just to be Balin, but to live up to the role that Ray made it. So
Yep.
it's very
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
important to hear that that much passion is being put into
Yeah, he
that. You
said
know?
Luke. Yeah, you're right. Spoke to his family as well.
Yeah,
Dude, you're telling me, bro. Dave just gets Star Wars on such a wholesome and deep level.
yeah,
But yeah, I remember because we didn't know we were going to get an Ahsoka season 2. So I remember when Ahsoka season 1 wrapped, I'm like, listen, I like the Thrawn stuff. Like I'm a Thrawn fan, but I'm like, the way Ray's performance as Balin captivated me so much. And like, as someone who
yeah,
I grew up with the expanded universe where like there was dark Jedi post Return of the Jedi that weren't Sith, but they were still roaming around the galaxy. And I was like, yo, we're getting our first attempt of like true Jedi, true dark Jedi that have
yeah,
fallen that are not Sith, and it's not like a Kylo Ren kind of Knights of Ren order.
yeah,
I was immediately hooked, and then was just even more so when season 1 was happening. But I remember being like in that finale, being like, dude, we haven't seen Balin or Shin at all. I'm like, what? I'm
yeah,
like, how are they going to wrap up the storyline? And then it's like, oh, it's because they're not. There's actually a second season, and he's standing on the hands of the Mortis gods. And at
yep,
that point, we already, Ray passed before the show came out, so we already knew
yeah,
that. Like, we were like, is this story going to continue? And I was praying and hoping that they would recast him. And trust me, like you said, I get the the conflict of wanting to continue and move past a loss like that when it was such a prevalent force. Again, no pun intended there.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, he looks phenomenal. Of course, Rory is from Game of Thrones, which is a show that I'm not personally, I've not seen all the way through, but every scene that I have seen with him as the Hound, he's incredible.
Yeah.
So and he's got the physicality, he's got the beard, he's got the deep voice. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad, dude, we're getting him.
And I think to your point about like not necessarily like filling the gap or a replacement at all, never would be a replacement for Ray, but to continue the character rather than a replacement, a continuation of the character. Ahsoka's role in that series is down to the basis of the episode and the lessons she learns with Anakin in the World Between Worlds of keep fighting,
Yep.
you perseverance, and regardless of getting knocked down, Ahsoka
It,
has died multiple times in the canon of Star Wars, right? Like figuratively, or you could just call it a death so many times.
I mean,
For
you
the
could quote
show
one of
where
your
the
favorite quotes from Book of Boba Fett.
yeah, dude,
Get back up,
you
always get back
always get
up.
back up. But Luke talking about Yoda, but specifically with Ahsoka, I think that's the basis of her character. So for Dave to continue the story of Ahsoka with that in mind, I think is incredibly powerful
Mm-hmm.
for viewers like myself. And I don't want to speak for you, Grayson, but I know you as well, of how much that like continuing to persevere and that continuing to push on and that like fight or die
Yeah.
situation where you just got to put your head down, nose to the grindstone, and keep going. It's incredibly potent, and it's very real to why the lessons in Star Wars mean so much. There's a clip that of Dave talking from one of the panels, and he's speaking specifically about what George taught him about things like just of persevering and following your dreams, and regardless of whether or not you can believe you do something, go about it, and you
Mm-hmm.
better work at it, because hard work is the way to go about
And
following your dreams and making those dreams a reality.
and
And
he
dude, your focus determines your reality.
yep,
There it
yep.
is. Got to
Yeah,
say it.
he said
YFDYR, baby.
he said like don't wait, do it now, you know.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just it makes me really happy to see and what I remember what Dave quoted Rory saying was Rory's first priority was to make he wanted to make Ray proud. And I'm like,
Yep.
that's great. I'm like that is that's all I need to hear, you know?
Yep.
And that's what it's not to, like you said, not to replace, it's not to
Nope.
usurp, it's to continue
Yeah.
the story, continue the legacy, pass on the torch in the best way you know how. But yeah, so that's the shtick with Balin.
Yep.
But like we said, well, I guess we should also confirm as well. I mean, we kind of already knew this, I feel like, based on where the way the story was going, but you know, the GOAT himself, Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, he's back for
He's
season
back,
2.
baby.
Yeah,
Yep. Just
I mean,
just immediately called it out. Just yeah, and Anakin Skywalker will be back for
yeah,
Ahsoka season 2.
I
Will it
feel
be
like
a
there was
flashback? Will it be a Force ghost? Will it be a world between worlds? We have no idea what it will be, but Anakin Skywalker will be in Ahsoka season 2.
yep, and honestly, I would kind of love if they dude, facts. We talked about this a little bit. And, you know, there was of course people want to see also like remember at those panels at some other conventions that like Ewan wants to be in the Clone Wars armor as well and stuff like that. But hear me out. As much as I love the flashback stuff, I don't feel like I need a flashback all the time. I would lose my mind. We talked about this. Lose my mind.
This is so good.
We've already got Hayden as a Force Ghost. Give me Ewan McGregor as Force Ghost Obi-Wan. That is all I want. You can give him the little he can do even from what we've seen in Kenobi. He can do the kind of old Ben like hello there, you know, kind of
Yep.
like don't be afraid, sort of thing. And so he's really good at
Oh,
that. And I'm like, we just got done reading the Heir to the Empire trilogy, and so of course with Dave bringing that up as well, it's only natural. But again, I kind of hope we get some cool, weird, trippy Force Ghost stuff, because they said the Mortis gods are like a thing in the
yep.
show. Like this, like they're going big, they're going bold.
They're a big part of it.
Yep.
Seeing Obi-Wan's as a Force Ghost, of Ewan as old Alec Guinness Obi-Wan as a Force Ghost, interacting with Hayden as a Force Ghost, just like the end of Return of the Jedi with the Force Ghost. And hey, I'll say it, throw Yoda there too.
Yeah,
have Yoda
dude.
pop up and have all three of them there as the Force Ghosts convening and speaking. I think there is, look, people are going to call it out and say key jingling. There are few moments from Star Wars that mean as much to me as the end of Return of the Jedi, just the entire third act of that film, and then seeing Luke see his father figures in all three of those Force Ghosts. It's insane.
Yeah.
I would flip to see Ewan as a Force Ghost, as
Can we
old Alec Guinness Kenobi.
Can we go ahead and I'm going to bring up the chat here real quick. Thank you for being here, Ryan. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you.
You're a great guy. We just have to. I'm jumping the gun a little bit here. It's kind of the last thing on our notes, but it is at least for you and I, as the OT fanboys that we are, as the Luke Skywalker fanboys we are. Thrawn is attacking the main galaxy. Okay, the New Republic. There's not many Jedi left. Ezra's back there, but so is Luke and so is Leia. Where if Thrawn is going to be going full front on this attack, what we have to address, we have to figure out what's going on with Luke and Leia, and why they are not there. We got to, and I think the way they handled the Leia thing in Ahsoka season 1 was great. Sending 3PO there, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That works. I got no conversation with my dad yesterday. I know this is kind of a hot topic thing, and you and I have talked about it so much off camera about like how much we want those stories to continue. And
you and me talking about Luke Skywalker?
Oh yeah, just yeah, not at all. Actually, we kind of hate Luke. No, I'm kidding. Luke fanboys. I think when you are getting this close to the timeline and this big of a deal, like something like The Mandalorian, of like, he's doing smaller odd job stuff. Like, yeah, Luke doesn't have to be there. But when you have Grand Admiral Thrawn attacking seemingly the heart of the New Republic, a big space battle, Admiral Akbar is going head to head against Thrawn, you're going to naturally ask, where is Luke Skywalker? Where is Leia? Where is Han Solo? Where are these crucial characters that are founding pillars of the New Republic and truly the bastions of it? And I'm not gonna lie, this is my take that like, and I think you can go kind of far with it, but at some point they can't just not show up. They have to be doing something off screen for us to understand where they're at. I always thought animation was the answer. Does not seem like we're gonna get that, and that's okay. But honestly, we are at the point now. We know that Dave's movie is coming. Ahsoka season 2 is in the heart of the New Republic timeline, like 7-ish years or whatever after Return of the Jedi. We've got to recast Luke and Leia.
Yeah, and I think there's a million reasons as to why that reasoning is valid, but I think the main reason for me as why it's valid based on the specific canon of what we've seen in Star Wars right now is when Grogu needed a Jedi Master and called out through the Force, they found Ahsoka, and then Ahsoka was like, hey, it can't be me. So that literally leaves one other person who it could be. And obviously people were like, oh, is it going to be Cal Kestis? There's a list of people who are like
Mace
still
Windu.
around. Yeah. There's still people that they're swarming around. But there was always that thing in the back of everyone's mind of like, are they really going to do this? And that's why Mando season 2 hit so much, is that when you have a question that has one answer, and that one answer is as big as Luke Skywalker, when you have a entire space war that he used the term war to start off
It's
Ahsoka
not a,
season one.
this is not a skirmish. This is not a
No,
little. This is
this is
a
not a space
war.
battle. This is not two speeders or fighters. It's I think when it comes to this, Ahsoka's already there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be that thing with Grogu of like, oh well, who are they going to get? Ahsoka. Ahsoka's already there, so there's only one other option there, and it's Luke Skywalker. And I think that's it. We've already seen it in canon. Then we see him pop up in Book of Boba Fett between him and Ahsoka. That's why it's so important. And I think you have him describing himself as a legend in The Last Jedi, and then I became a legend. And we have him fighting with Lando in Shadows of the Sith and stuff like that. Like he's active during this time. So for it to come to this, and even the post Return of the Jedi comics that we've gotten recently, Luke is incredibly active during all of this time. And I know it's set a little bit after that, but he's swashbuckling hero Luke, like we saw in the end of Mando, and he's the teacher Jedi, one with the Force Luke Skywalker that we've seen from the Book of Boba Fett. So I just think it makes too much sense not to be there. And are there technical difficulties? Yeah, but I think the technical difficulties take over more than the actual story difficulties do, at least in terms of this.
Do you mind if I bring up Sklabean's comments here about my take on this? Is that a problem with you?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So yeah, Sklabeen, I get your point of view. I think the deep fake works for small scenes. However, I will always believe if you're not willing to recast, you don't get Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. You don't get Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. You don't get Matt Lanter as, and yes, there's animation and but you don't get Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, who, in my opinion, did a phenomenal job. And
he did a great job.
He is now at the age where I think he's the like perfect age for that type of Han Solo. It's been some time now. At the end of the day, yes, these characters are iconic, but there's other characters that outside of Star Wars that are as equally as iconic, and they are not untouchable. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. There have been plenty of people who have played those roles, and yet they're still just as iconic. Yes, Star Wars is different because it is one continuity. However, if these characters are so beloved and they deserve to have more stories told, but those are younger characters of the version we haven't seen. Yeah, but like, imagine if we bring ourselves back to the Phantom Menace in like 1999. I don't think a CG Alec Guinness would have hit as hard. Ewan McGregor is now more iconic as that character than Alec Guinness is. Alec Guinness is old,
I agree.
But Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
When people say Obi-Wan Kenobi, they think of Ewan McGregor in Revenge of the Sith.
Yep, that is now the face. That is what, and he has created such a iconic part of that character. I believe it is time for new people to be able to take the faces of these characters, and it does not diminish Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. That will always be the original Luke Skywalker, as much as Harrison Ford is the original Han Solo. To be honest, I feel like you've got all of the castings right there in front of you. Graham Hamilton, who played Luke, he was the face guy who did it under like the CGI stuff, is great. He's a great Skywalker.
Actor. Yeah.
You have Billy Lord, who is the daughter of Carrie Fisher herself. Yes, she played a background character in the sequels. I really don't care. I think she would give such a weight to that character, and would, again, when we're talking about legacies, with Rory McCann going on to Baylan Skoll,
absolutely, very good.
Billy Lord has nothing but reverence for her mother's work, and we already have Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and we already have Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, and of course Chewbacca is Chewbacca. The thing is I don't want CG AI zombies in my Star Wars anymore. I think it creates too many issues. It works for small scenes. And I get Sklabine, I'm going to bring up your point. Like, you said, it would be weird for them to swap actors at this point. Again, they're in very small scenes. The Leia scene
Luke looks different from Return of the Jedi to Mando season 2 to Book of Boba Fett. Like
They
they all three of them look different. Like it, but we
yeah.
all still believe, and I'm still sitting on my couch crying that that's Luke Skywalker. Like
Yeah.
it's more of the feeling than it is the actual face. And granted, you can't just get anybody. Like I would prefer to get somebody who looks like Luke Skywalker. People have said for a million years, and I think he's a little old at this point, but like
Mhm.
people have said
It's
for a
like
million years, like, oh,
Sebastian
Sebastian
Stan.
Stan,
Yeah.
which like obviously would have been very cool to see. But I think to your point about the recast of somebody like an Alden Ehrenreich, I think it would be incredibly strange to see Alden post Return of the Jedi as Han Solo and then a CGI Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, like what?
Like
That doesn't
if okay, so if Luke has to be CGI, does that mean Han
all
also has to be
yeah.
CGI? But you've already have Alden, who at this point, it's it's been the amount of time that's passed between Solo and here in our life, where he looks the age Harrison Ford did post Return of the Jedi. So it would like you get Alden, but then Luke still looks like Mark Hamill.
Mhm.
I just it's very strange, and I would prefer to have new faces. Here's the thing: George Lucas created one of the greatest mythologies of all time. It's like Greek mythology with all
Mhm.
of this, the way the lore works, the way the icons work for all of this, and I think the story is the characters, the actors who played these characters are larger than life. When
Yep.
you think of Princess Leia, I will always think of Carrie Fisher, and I will
Mhm.
always love Carrie Fisher. But just because just because I miss Christopher Reeves as Superman doesn't mean I don't want to see David Corenswet as Superman.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's and if we're going to talk about deep fake, when they deep fake when they did deep fake for Christopher Reeve for the Flash movie, that riddled me to no end. Like
Oh, dude.
I did
It
I when
made
I
my
saw that that's
blood
what happened,
boil.
it's all it's all it's terrible. And I understand Mark is still alive for that,
Yeah,
right?
and I
Like
think
he's still
Mark should
alive to
be
say
there
yes.
on set. I think he should be
Absolutely.
consulting. Like I think I truly, and this is not me hating on what they did for Mando and Book of Boba Fett. I think they were trying to push the bounds of the technology, but for me personally, with we've gotten to a point now, especially with this kind of war on AI stuff. Like I really prefer the creative expression of like an individual actor, and
Yeah.
I'm going to play the comparison game of yet another Han Solo thing. Opening of Dial of Destiny, CG Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Was it cool? Sure. But then I think about the opening of The Last Crusade, and it's like imagine if like they had done like a weird like CG Harrison Ford on River Phoenix, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. And then you've got Alden Ehrenreich, and I'll be honest, if you were to tell me like, hey, do you prefer a young CG Indy in the opening of Dial of Destiny or Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo? Like, yes, they're different characters, but it's the same concept. I'm gonna take Alden Ehrenreich every day of the week because I
Yeah.
think he gave such a cool life to that character. And yes, he's not supposed to be Harrison Ford, but he was Han Solo, in my opinion. I thought he did a great
Yep.
job. And I mean, and people talk about how Donald Glover is like the perfect casting, and truly, like if this whole CG technology thing hasn't been happening, I don't think this debate would be brought up. But I would rather them allocate their budget and their time and their resources into other parts of the production
To
and
making
just
it
be
look
like,
like an immersive world rather than making Luke's face look like Luke's face. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
and I'll wrap up my point here. And Slovene, I just want to say thank you for respecting the opinion.
Yeah,
I
dude. Like
completely understand. Yeah,
and us talking about this is like we're that's what this show is for. It's to have these
yeah,
discussions, dude.
yeah.
I
Of
love
course,
seeing you in these comments. I mean, you've been popping up in chats for live streams for like over
absolutely.
2 years for stuff that I've been a part of. Like you rule, but like
Yeah,
specific, like,
yeah,
and that's what it's about. It's you're allowed to disagree.
yeah. And there's
That's what
always
makes
going to
Star
be
Wars fun.
yeah, there's always going to be disagreements, especially on this point. But to me, I don't think it's indistinguishable. Like to me, I'm like, ooh, it's still at that uncanny valley thing. Like, does it mean I
Yeah,
don't like those scenes? Like, do I not think that they did some really cool stuff? But like when I watch Rogue One and I see CG Tarkin, I'm kind of like, I kind of just wish they got the guy to play Tarkin and like, just had not gone so heavy handed with it.
I do agree. I will say that as much as I don't like the CGI version of Tarkin, I definitely prefer CGI Tarkin over giant prosthetic head Tarkin from the
Oh,
end
at
of
the end of Revenge of the
Revenge
Sith.
Sith.
Yeah. And
Of just,
again, that's
what if we put some guy's face over some guy's face, and it's just he has a
yeah.
huge back of his head, like yeah.
Yeah.
But
I would rather them anyway, I'm getting heavy-handed at
I
this
will say, just to transition out of this, once
yeah,
Glebin, thank you, dude, because that was a fun topic to talk about. But
of course.
hey, the people who will be determining this and working on the technology,
ILM 50th.
ILM baby, the wizards themselves, the magic makers.
Mhm.
It's currently the 50th for them. Half a century of ILM started by George Lucas. But yeah, shout out to them. But you want to talk about Maul, Shadow Lord?
Yeah, I've talked about everything about I want to do with Ahsoka. Let's talk about Maul Shadow Lord because I'm really
Let's
pumped
talk
about
about it,
it. Dude, new animated show 2026, same year as Mando and Grogu and Ahsoka season 2. Next year, Sam Witwer leading 1 year after Revenge of the Sith, same time period as the Bad Batch. Bro.
Oh, that's such a funny way to put it because I've been like going off of what Sam Witwer is saying of a year after the end of Clone Wars season 7. But yeah, that's a year.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I'll say people have said I've looked up some more details on the trailer. People have said there's TK troopers in the trailer.
Oh,
so I mean that just confirms it's in that same time period.
yeah. There's I put out a graphic today. There was an interview that he did with Rotten Tomatoes where it's a specific. He made a specific point about talking about Maul's perspective on the Jedi now, being that he thinks that Obi-Wan Kenobi is dead, and about the Empire is here. There are Star Destroyers that are starting. It's just like the Bad Batch of where they're starting to transition into Stormtroopers. What Maul thinks about all of that. It's incredibly interesting to see. But I think the biggest thing with this is, at least for me and for us, Sam Witwer's back. He's back. It's
As
Sam
the
Witwer.
lead.
It's not only a Maul show; it's a Sam Witwer show. Okay, cannot wait for that. Love the guy. But I think the biggest thing that everybody is talking about here with the Maul thing is the that he's going to be training an apprentice.
Yep.
Which Sam Witwer has confirmed. It was in that interview as well with the Rotten Tomatoes stuff. We've heard from people who have seen the trailer that there is some sort of apprentice in the trailer. I know you did a little bit more research on that when it comes to who he is training, but
yeah, so there's a lot of discourse, a lot of claims, a lot of accusations, whatever you want to call it, that yes, he is training a Twi'lek. He is, and this Twi'lek has a magenta to red hue about them. There was some debate of like, was the Twi'lek blue? It seems to be a Twi'lek girl, and she seems to be kind of like a younger girl, maybe like 50, maybe like Ahsoka-ish age.
Whoa, that's a cool way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is it like, maybe like Ahsoka when we first meet her sort of thing. It's kind of unclear.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody is pulling that I'm not going to say Darth Talon because Maul, it's formerly Darth, now just Maul. So she would just be Talon. Here's my Here, you mind if I can I open up here real quick about this whole topic?
Can I drop some knowledge on you?
Yeah. Okay. Darth Talon, character originated from the EU. The hand, one of the two hands of Darth Krayt, 130 years after Return of the Jedi. Okay, definitely not 1 year after Revenge of the Sith. That was where Darth Talon first appeared. And she was a little bit of a how do I put this in like not or in safe for work terms? She was eye candy. We'll say that. Well, she was eye candy.
That's a good way of good way of saying it. Yeah.
Even to the point of sleeping with Cade Skywalker to try to seduce him to the dark side. Okay, so then we're going into the other side of things, which is that in the treatment allegedly that George Lucas created for the sequels that was not used, that Maul was going to be the main villain against the New Republic.
It was revealed that Maul was alive post Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, and
yeah.
he would be training Darth Talon or whatever.
You
So
also have to assume that it's not like that Talon would have a separate name because it would have to take because Maul didn't know his name. It's just
Maul
like a
doesn't know
Darth
his name.
Tyrannus. It's just be like,
Yeah,
are you Tyrannus now? Are you just Sidious? Are you just
yeah,
Vader? It's like, no, I'm actually Anakin Skywalker. No, I'm actually Count Dooku. You know what I mean?
right. They have like a name. Yeah, and so obviously she is not going to be Darth because Maul is not a Sith, like I said, and he is. It seems to be the indication that he is not rising through the ranks, but he is creating, forming, bolstering the strength of Crimson Dawn as we have seen it um from that end of Clone Wars season 7, even though like Dryden
Correct.
Voss shows up in Clone Wars season 7, which is always a cool little detail.
Yeah.
I will say I think maybe people are getting a little too carried away about her potentially being Talon. I have a couple of problems with the Talon thing in general. I think it'd be awesome if they name her Talon. I think it's going to be awesome if she's going to be trained by Maul. I love that stuff. That being said, I think Darth Talon in Legends is kind of a problematic character because of the eye candy stuff. Oftentimes by the fan base, she is shipped with Darth Maul. This girl in the show is a child, so please, for the love of God, do not do that. It looks like she's going to be a teenager. That will be weird and
please
gross.
no Sith grooming.
Yes, please. But that being said, I agree with you, Retney. What's up, buddy? Thanks for being here.
Hey, what's up, dude?
What's up? I think it's cool that they are incorporating a small little aspect of Maul trying to train an apprentice within his criminal syndicate. And honestly, I think the reason this girl will if they go by the name Talon, that will be not necessarily their apprentice or Sith name, but more so their code name within the organization of Crimson Dawn. So anyway, that's my little mini rant on the Talon stuff. It does seem like at the very least it is going to be a very heavy homage to the character, but that being said, temper your expectations because it's going to probably be a far cry from the busty EU bait.
Yeah, the shock T from the Force Unleashed version.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I will say, I think that to Retney's comment, that's probably the thing that I'm most excited for.
Yes.
The interview with Sam that he did on the live stage after that announcement, talking about how specifically there were points that Dave and George during the Clone Wars were thinking about for characters like Maul, kind of by themselves over here away from the Clone Wars, and Sam alluding to saying that ideas from those conversations have trickled into the show. It makes sense as to why we'll call her Talon because we don't really know what her name would be other than that, if that's what they're going for. If I had to guess, there would be kind of a connect the dots situation between George wanting to do like a Boba Fett and Cad Bane deal, where it sets up Boba Fett for later on for characters we're going to see later, giving them that origin story as well as like the young Boba trying to assassinate Mace Windu sort of deal.
Yeah. Hey, I got a great comment here from Sonny. It also feels like a great transition into Rebels. Him
absolutely
with this apprentice would be justification.
And then needing Ezra. Yep. 100%. And that is such an incredible point. And I think just to give a little nod to the beginning of Rebels when we see Maul, the first time the Inquisitors see Maul, they refer to him as the Shadow, and the show is Shadow Lord. So seeing that, and I think it's also interesting because by the time we see him in Rebels, he's lost the term Lord would give of ruler of the underworld, Lord of the underworld.
He's
lost
old
that.
master.
So now he is just a shadow. So he is a shell of what he thought he would have been as Maul, which is really cool to think about how that half of his name was removed, or how we might be able to see that half removed. But yeah, just seeing the twist from George having those seeds dropped somewhere, even not used in terms of where it was in the Clone Wars, and potentially before it was purchased by Disney, if that was his idea, setting that up for maybe some sequels down the line. I know it's not what we see now, but
Yeah.
based on the age of the character, you had brought up to me, and I think it's kind of on the table now. If we don't see Talon die at any point, and we're just going to keep referring to her as Talon until we get an actual name. I would assume that when Maul gets the character, she's either a nameless orphan, kind of like him,
Yes.
or she has an actual name that she then takes on the Talon name,
Mm-hmm.
like you said. But like seeing maybe potentially her as a villain for some sort of sequel
Dude.
idea.
Oh, if they brought her in, because and that would be great because like she wouldn't be a Sith, but she'd be some dark side Force user. From what we know in the trailer, she uses a lightsaber at a couple points. I think one point she uses a blue one, and then later on she uses a
Yeah,
red one or something.
yeah,
But like, dude, if you threw her in as a villain against like I don't know, Ray Skywalker. That'd be really cool. Would she be
yep,
older? For sure, but it would be
yeah,
cool for like to have like a younger, like, trying to become a Jedi Master Ray against like this old Sith assassin mercenary kind of character that
yeah.
like was trained by Darth Maul could be very cool. Then maybe that's
Incredibly
far
cool.
fetched. I mean, granted, it's far fetched, but I feel like I'm not gonna lie. I think this character, again, we're gonna keep calling her Talon. There's a chance she just may not be Talon at all, and it's again a very loose homage. I think this character is going to be a fan favorite no matter what.
Yeah,
And I don't see them. It could be very interesting to see how they handle where, like, I mean, we've never seen this character up until this point. So, and that's really what's exciting about this is getting to see Maul so early after Revenge of the Sith, and then having that giant time gap between Solo and then the gap between Solo and Rebels.
yeah,
Like that's like 14 to 17 years of his life that we don't really know about, and that's awesome.
yeah. No, it's really cool. It's always exciting when we're getting Star Wars that we have bits and pieces where we can speculate and guess, but that we really don't know about.
Yep.
It's so much fun. Like when Clone Wars season 7 was coming out, we could kind of assume where it was going, right? I would
Yeah.
say that's an example of something where we really do know what they're planning. And I mean, even Dave had talked about it at other points of like of kind of the way he had thought about that season ending with Ahsoka and all that stuff. And
Of course.
and having those ideas, and even with something like the Bad Batch, where you immediately see a young Caleb Doom on screen, you're like, oh my gosh, they're doing this, and then you
Yep.
know what's going to happen. With this, there's so much left up to what we don't know, and obviously we're going to get bits and pieces where us as Star Wars fans, we're going to start being able to take the red tape and kind of put it back and forth of where we can kind of build out the map of where we think something like this is going to go. But where
Yeah.
we are sitting right now, I think is some of the most fun as a Star Wars fan, where it's just speculation and where you're going back into the books and into the archives of, hey, how can we piece this together and kind of guess beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, just this is just a fun way, a fun thing that Grayson and I both agree with.
Yeah.
We're going to do a lot of speculating on this every
Of
week. We're going to be
course.
doing this on Monday. We're going to be doing a lot of speculation on a lot of Star Wars that we have not seen yet. If our speculations end up being wrong, which I would guess a lot of them probably are because we don't work for Lucasfilm, if they are wrong, that does not mean we're going to be upset about it. We're just going to be
No.
happy that we see like the high expectation things, and expectations ruin your reality. That's fine. I understand when people are like that, but I I would rather be entertained by a thing rather than not see what I'm thinking of beforehand on screen.
Yeah.
That's just wanted to throw that out there quick.
Yeah, because I had like a ton of stuff for the Ahsoka season 1, and that didn't happen. And
Oh yeah,
I'll be honest, like I don't even think about a lot of those ideas that I have now
dude,
because I'm
think
like
about
so
the
pumped.
entire time leading up to The Force Awakens and literally every sequel movie of what was going
Yeah.
to happen. It was all speculation all the time.
It was insane, and it's half the fun, but it's also like again with this show in particular, I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see Maul train this person and do cool criminal. Like I love seeing Maul within the criminal underworld, and I'm like, that's enough for me. I don't really have any idea where it's
Yeah.
going. I'm along for the ride. It's crazy. Again, like I said, we get a movie next year, and Ahsoka season 2, and Maul Shadow Lord. Like,
Yeah, dude.
it's crazy, dude.
Yep.
And there's one
But
last little thing that we get just a little fun thing at the end.
and if you'd like to meet Sam Witwer, you can see him at Rebel Scum Con August 8th through the 10th. I will be there, and Grayson will be there,
You
and
can see
we
us.
will be meeting Sam Witwer. I cannot wait for August. We were not at Celebration. This is going to be our Star Wars celebration in August in Texas. We cannot wait. It's going to be awesome, and the entire guest list is really cool.
Oh yeah, dude.
I know they're not paying me to say any of this either. I'm just so stoked to go to. I love conventions. I love being around other nerds. And for both of us who weren't able to go to Japan for Star Wars Celebration, this is going to be our gap filler for that. And I cannot wait. And Sam Witwer's going to be there. The GOAT.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Yeah, I'm pumped to ask him about this specifically. And you know, the last thing I was going to say is we know that Maul is going to be fights Marok in this alleged trailer.
Yeah,
they showed, which is
people said that it was Marok at the end. Is there a body in there? Is he just made of gas? We don't know.
Yeah. Apparently he speaks in the trailer, which I guess he's spoken to Ahsoka. So, but one could be led to believe that Maul might be the one who eliminates Marok. I don't know.
Which is interesting because of all the fan theories that Marok was actually going to be Starkiller, and which is funny that Maul's going to be the one that if Maul ends up taking him out. Which, if you want to theorize real quickly about Marok, if Marok was really just a reanimated version of something that the Night Sister magic used to bring him back to life, kind of like what we are assuming is going to happen with all of the Dathomirian soldiers that Thrawn ends up picking up on Dathomir in Ahsoka season 2, kind of like what we saw for the Death Troopers, all the zombie troopers in Ahsoka season 1. We might be able to assume that Maul is the one who ends up killing Marok in that battle, to where then Morgan Elsbeth finds him and then reanimates him and uses him more as that soldier. I'm going to bring up a comment real quick. I'm assuming this is Spody or Spoetti. No idea. I don't know where you heard that this is the last Star Wars celebration. It is not. They are just skipping 2026. 2027 in LA is the next Star Wars celebration. They've already announced it. It's going to be there. They're celebrating the 50th. It's literally been 50 years of Star Wars. Not only of A New Hope, but Star Wars has been around for 50 years, which is insane. So wild. ILM 50 years this year. 2 years it'll be 50 years of Star Wars. So no, it's not the last Star Wars celebration, unless the world blows up. Then it will be the last Star Wars celebration, but it'll be the last anything. But but that's literally the only reason why there wouldn't be a celebration, or there's COVID part 2. But that's it.
Oh my gosh.
No, that will not happen.
Please.
I'm calling it now. It won't.
Hey, he's focusing his reality right now. Okay, guys.
I'm meditating like Starkiller. He doesn't know how to meditate. He's never been taught. Yeah.
Can you tell we listen to a lot of Sam Witwer clips?
Yeah. Hey, have you guys ever heard an interview with Sam Witwer? Okay. Visions.
Yes. My goat is back, guys.
Woo!
By the way, shout out Tatooine Traders. This is the Ronin shirt that they dropped. It's sick.
I'm not wearing mine because Grayson and I weren't going to match, but I do have all of these stickers on this new water bottle from Tatooine Traders. Look at that, dude. Revenge of the Sith right there with the Macquarie logo on it, just like Empire. So sick. Betty Boop Leia. Look at that, dude. The Tatooine, the Jawa, the spray paint Jawa, and then this Fordo glows in the dark.
Oh, that's sick.
Yep, I found that out last night. I woke up and I was like, "What is that green light?" And it was Fordo.
Fordo's like pulls out his pistols. So Visions Volume 3. It is coming out October 29th, 2025. Correct. Several of the studios are returning back. I don't know them all off the top of my head, but what you do need to know is that 3 of the episodes are getting continuations from season 1, and that is, of course, my favorite, The Duel, is getting a follow-up. We're getting a follow-up on The Village Bride and The Ninth Jedi,
which is also very cool. They're all very cool, but those are pretty much the top 2, other than the one with the Elder.
The Elder, oh my gosh. Yeah. If they had continued that one, I would have lost my mind. David Harbour as Master Tyjon is amazing. But the other really cool piece of news is that it's not just Vision Season 3 that comes out later this year. In fact, they are doing a longer running series. Ninth Jedi is getting a standalone limited series under the title Star Wars Visions Presents,
Yep.
which could lead to other popular episodes getting a series as well. Please, the Ronin, I'm begging you. That being said, the Ninth Jedi is in my top 3 episodes of the first season. So when they were like, "Hey, this is the one that they're following up on," I was like, "I am not mad. I love that."
No, it's awesome.
And the footage that they showed, the trailer, was sick.
Yeah,
Really cool.
extremely cool stuff from what they showed from Visions, the
Yeah.
trailer, and it's always cool to see so many of the different animation styles. I know a lot of people kind of poo-poo Visions because it's not canon and it's outside of like what we know of the Star Wars characters. But dude, it's like the Ronin is one of the coolest additions to Star Wars in the longest time. So sick. And it's so cool to flow into one of the biggest inspirations for George for the entirety of a series of Akira Kurosawa films and like that Japanese feudal Japan influence, and to use the new tech that these amazing artists in Japan with these animators have come out with to head Star Wars animation with this new, it's so ingrained in the culture and the feeling of what makes the magic of Star Wars so great that it truly makes sense as to why they're doing this. I know when it got announced, people were like, I don't understand why they're doing this. It makes perfect sense when you think about what Star Wars is.
For me, I love so much of the mythology of Star Wars, and you and I talk so much about like there as a Star Wars fan, there is so much debate and controversy of canon and continuity and legends and the EU, and it should be this way, it should be that way. And honestly, yes, I keep up with the lore, I keep up with what's canon, what is legends, the differences between those. But like, to be honest, when something like this happens, a Visions where you just get a story that's not connected to the greater part of the universe, and like you could make it canon, like honestly, I'm kind of a believer in headcanon. You can make what your Star Wars is your Star Wars, truly. And to be honest, like I've always viewed the Ronin as being like, oh, it's like way off in the future, and we're like the galaxy's kind of been reformed, and that's why there's all of these like helmets and stuff. It doesn't really need to make sense. It's just really cool storytelling and a really awesome medium. And I can just sit back and I'm like, I don't have to worry about, oh, could this character show up? And is this connected to this? What we just did with Shadow Lord and with Ahsoka and with Mando and Grogu about, oh, how are these connected? If this is like, these are just awesome set pieces to tell really cool, unique Star Wars stories. And that is amazing to me.
Yeah.
And again, these like, some of these stories are just so cool and they're so beautiful. And I might go watch The Ninth Jedi right after this because I've been a while since I've watched it, and now I really want to. I think Visions is such a cool, unique project. And I've always said this, like, being able to see how other cultures view what Star Wars is so cool to me. And admittedly, I know people were kind of upset when Volume 2 wasn't just anime. I was not one of those people because I loved getting to see not just the anime stuff, because there was plenty of that in there, but also getting to see, like, some more CG stuff or claymation, like, and getting to see like, oh, this is kind of how I view Star Wars, or what a story that I've wanted to tell in Star Wars. So I don't know. I think Visions is such a love letter to the imagination within Star Wars. And I mean, bringing it back to what Dave and John said of like getting your action figures and just making cool stories and stuff. And it's like, you know, you're on the playground and you're like, oh yeah, my character, he's this Ronin character who, you know, he actually he was a Jedi and then he was a Sith, but then he left the Sith and he's got this really cool katana lightsaber and collects red kyber crystals. And I'm like, yes, that is awesome. I love that.
No, so, absolutely. I think, like you said, there's such a great format, and like you brought up about there being literally every episode is a different studio within each season. Like there are continuations now between seasons of studios coming back. But you can find something you like in every episode, and there's episodes that aren't necessarily my favorite. There are episodes where they're so different where I really enjoy them, but you also just can appreciate the art being put into them. I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing. I think as I get older, like I love concept art, but as I get older, when it comes to Star Wars, like yeah, like toys and stuff like this are really cool, and I always get
Yeah.
excited to see stuff. But like now, more I'm so into like prints and artwork, like what
Yeah.
this whole wall is now that like I just love like art books and stuff like that. I
I
think
mean, we
that's
gotta
such a
like,
it's
dude,
so
the
good.
all the badge art from
Yep.
Celebration, dude. Insane.
Yep. So sick. So
So
cool. Some of the coolest it has been. Shout out to Connor for hooking us up with our stuff. There will
oh,
be a samurai Luke Skywalker poster right here eventually once that comes in the mail. Thank you, Connor.
yeah,
Um,
I will have somewhere back here if I can fit it accordingly. I will be having the Stranger versus Master Soul because guys, I kind of like the Acolyte. Come at me. I really like the Stranger, and
hey, guess
I'm
what? I do too.
sorry guys. It's okay if you don't like it,
Sorry.
but I
Hey, here's the thing.
really like it.
Everybody's allowed to like what they like when it comes to Star Wars. Everybody's allowed to like what they like. It's
Hmm.
fine.
Hmm.
That's what makes Star Wars cool. If you don't like it, that's fine. Just don't be a jerk about why you don't like it. And if you like something, that's cool. Just don't be a jerk because you like it and somebody else doesn't. It's fine.
Can I bring up also the coolest point about all of the art at Celebration, whether it's the prints and the different covers of manga books and everything?
Yeah.
It's not AI. It's real art that people
It's a
made.
person. A person did it with
Yeah.
their hands.
Yeah. They saw a vision and they were like, I'm gonna make this and not put it in a AI generator. I don't know. Guys, call me crazy. I just think that's really cool. And it's a really
Yeah.
creative
Really cool.
passion
Yep.
of Star Wars. But yeah, Visions is awesome. And I think it was pretty great that they got to announce it in Japan, you know?
Yep.
So I'm pumped for both Volume 3 and for the Ninth Jedi Visions
Yep.
Presents. But we got a little extraneous news as
Yeah.
well.
There's just some other things that have popped up here and there.
Mhm.
Just this is just all the Star Wars news that's left from
Yeah,
Celebration left over, and just some stuff over the last couple of days.
yeah. Um, should we talk about maybe one other little piece from the Star Wars animation side of things with Tales of the Underworld?
Oh yeah, quickly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I cannot wait for it. It's going to be
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Did
Well,
somebody
so
say Cad Bane?
Cad Bane.
I can't wait, dude.
Dude, yeah. So they showed the first episode. Apparently, it's ties directly into Dark Disciple, which is really cool
Yep.
because we read that book and
Yeah.
we were curious like how that was going to pay off, and hey, it's finally paying off because it's tying directly into the book.
Yeah.
But I'm
They showed a full episode at Celebration, which
crazy.
obviously we weren't there. We didn't see it, but from what we have heard, it's extremely cool of how like the trailer and everything ties in from the footage they saw. Also,
Yeah.
like just how crisp everything looks in terms of the animation. Every time that Clone War style animation comes back, it looks better and better every time.
That one scene that they showed at the end of that Lucasfilm 20th reel from not Shadow Hunter, Shadow Lord.
Every time, dude.
Every time of Maul walking down the ramp with the clank of his like
Yep.
metal feet, and then just the. I'm like, dude. Oh my. He's
So
also
sick.
He's got a hooded poncho. And it's not like a full on cloak, and I'm like,
What up,
kind
Cal
of.
Kestis?
I was about to say I'm kind of Cal Kestis coded. I love me a good poncho. What can I say?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pumped for Underworld. I mean, it comes out in like 19, no, not even 19 days, like 15 days.
Yeah,
So
May 4th.
May 4th, baby.
Can't wait. New Cad Bane stories. Very cool.
Dude. Okay,
Um,
so I guess that leads into like the perfect point of a little other thing that was shown that kind of ties into Cad Bane stuff. The apparently people saw an extended, more deleted scenes of that scrapped arc.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they showed it in the live stream.
Did they?
Yeah, they showed it on the live stream before they cut to the trailer for the animation panel and showed the episode for Underworld of like the trailer for Shadow Lord and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I just heard the description of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean for people who don't know, there was that deleted arc that they showed footage of way back when in 2017, a celebration I was actually at, of the classic like getting the dent in the helmet, like Cad Bane and Boba
Cad
Fett
Bane versus
squaring
Boba
up.
Fett, baby.
Yeah, and the whole premise was going to be that Cad Bane was basically priming Boba to be at his peak so that he could apparently Jango and Cad Bane actually had a rivalry and he
Yep.
wanted to get closure on that. Well, we get another scene. Another scene was shown of Anakin chasing down Boba in the streets of Coruscant.
Yep.
Boba's in the full armor and in the jetpack, and something about I think Mace Windu shows up at some point and like
Yeah.
talks about like the
So
assassins or something.
yeah. So if you haven't watched the footage yet, it's really cool. They put it up on YouTube, I believe. Well, you can actually just go back and watch the live stream from
Oh,
that,
okay,
but
yeah.
and it's all on there. But basically Anakin is following Boba Fett through the streets. It's all action. There's
Action, yep.
barely there's not a lot of dialogue. Them flying around, bumping into speeders, blasters, lightsabers. Boba Fett ends up getting away, and then Mace calls Anakin on his what would you call it, like a hologram, like chip or whatever it is,
Yeah, just like
where
a
he
little
can
hologram
yeah,
thing.
he Star Wars FaceTimes him, and
Mhm.
Mace Windu pops up, and they just have a brief conversation about like, no, he got away, blah 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 blah. But it's cool to see where that the previs from that is literally all there, and that means the previs for everything else that's been deleted is also there. So it's just sitting on a hard drive somewhere, which means they could just do it. Do it.
Unfortunately, according to Dave Filoni and the animation team, they have no plans to finish and complete this arc. They didn't. They said never say never, sort of thing. But I listen. I'm praying. I'm hoping to God they are actually baiting us, and that they are. This is actually that the reason they're not going to release that is because they're just going to cut that scene out, and that we're actually going to get part of this in the Cad Bane arc in Tales of the
Yeah,
Underworld. I'm not holding my breath, but man, I just really want that scene to be publicly visualized in an
yeah.
actual proper episode. And I know you do too, as a Cad Bane
Oh,
fan.
absolutely.
But it sounds really cool, and that is like probably one of the only episodes that didn't get finished that I really wish they would. So I'm hoping that maybe at some point they can find a way. I mean, if they do another Tales of the Underworld season, or I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they'd put it in, but I feel like Tales of the Underworld would have been the slam dunk. But it's cool. Just also like the whole 20th anniversary of 20th anniversary of the Lucasfilm or department. That
Oh, of
poster, dude.
animation of LFL animation. It's so
Yeah,
sick. And that poster that they released, so jealous. I mean, it's
yeah.
of literally every like almost every like big animation character that you could when you think of Star Wars animation, it's all of those characters, all the way down to a stormtrooper from the canceled,
Detours.
never made Star Wars Detours, the comedy animation series that would have been like kind of in the same vein as like a robot chicken, the way they do
Yep.
Star Wars. Yeah, it's or like the Family Guy stuff. It would have just been making fun of Star Wars, and it was George Lucas's idea. So
That's
yeah,
so great.
extremely cool. But yeah, awesome stuff. But lastly, I think the biggest thing that we have coming up next, which is
Mhm.
literally tomorrow, Andor, dude.
Oh yeah. Andor season
Yeah,
2.
there's
How
a
did
whole
I
new Star
forget?
Wars show coming out tomorrow. A season of a Star Wars show coming out tomorrow.
They made it very clear on a lot of the lives, because we saw a lot of the cast in like on those lives.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. I'm ready. I'm excited. 3 episodes tomorrow night, so I will be staying up from 9 until midnight.
it'll be so much
Um,
fun, dude.
yeah, it's getting raving reviews across the board. I think like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Yeah, the embargo was lifted yesterday or 2 days ago, I believe.
Uh huh.
And there were a small group of people who saw the entire season of so all
I'm
12
so
episodes of
jealous.
Andor, and so many people have been saying that it is some of the some of the best Star Wars since A New Hope. Like they are referring to it as like
What?
since Star Wars has been created, it is some of the best. And I'm not saying like a one person said that. There are multiple like podcasts and stuff that I've seen come up with this, and they all say the same thing of like it is it's some of the best Star Wars of all time. Like better than
Mm,
Star Wars that has as of all Star Wars, it's better than Star Wars that you can think of.
yeah.
But extremely cool. I can't wait, and we'll have a lot to talk about next week when it comes out because
Yeah, dude. You see that clip they released today of like whatever planet they're on that I'm going to just say is Dantooine of Cassian flying the TIE fighter around and like the stormtroopers are walking around and like Brasso's running. It's
the
dude,
one with all the grass that looks like Lothal.
it's gonna be Dantooine, bro. Trust me.
Did I? I guess I didn't send you it. Never mind. There's already
Rude.
a Wikipedia page for what planet that is.
What?
Yep.
Because of they showed the first episode. Is that why?
Yeah.
Is it? Is this confidential? Should we?
I mean, there's a Wikipedia page.
Well,
I don't
I
know.
don't want to put anything out there because so we'll just wait till tomorrow. But
yeah, I mean, it's not confirmed, but we will see tomorrow. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming it's in the first 3 episodes. But there is a Wikipedia page for that, so you could go find out right now of what
oh
that
wow.
planet is.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Dang.
Which
That's crazy.
it's not a leak. It's not a leak. It's
okay.
information that's out there. But
Okay.
yeah, it was. I forget what it was referred to in some article or something, and then the Wikipedia page was made about it because they are very, especially after the Ki-Adi-Mundi stuff, they are very specific on what ends up on Wikipedia now. But yeah, extremely excited for it. Andor is fantastic, and I think the season is going to be better than season 1, which is awesome because season 1
That's
was
what
great.
they're saying.
Also,
yeah.
Thanks to Sklebean.
Hey,
as Hannah from the race side would say, $5 dues. I'll die on my. I can't wait to clip that and send it to her. I'll die on my deep fake hill. Loved how it made me feeling. See the goat again. We'll just have to see what they do moving forward. Much love. May the force be with you. Also, dude, I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. That is literally the first super chat ever of Turban Focus Live. Sklebean.
I am focusing my determination on my love of you.
Appreciate you, and also appreciate you being cool about like having a conversation about Star Wars rather than it just being you wrong,
honestly,
me right.
I think honestly, like we can all just agree that like if we just get like Luke and Leia and Han and all of them in a consistent manner in any form, I'll just be happy. So
I'm gonna get real close to the camera for this one. If you show me Luke Skywalker training Leia in lightsaber combat, more than what we saw in The Rise of Skywalker, but like actually going out and Leia swashbuckling with a lightsaber using the Force, I want you to know that I will be in tears. Thank you. That's all I will say about that. And that's all I'll say about that.
I think the last thing before we wrap this up we should talk about is just maybe the remaining projects that just didn't really get their time in the spotlight at this celebration. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but no updates other than they are still working on it for the Rey movie. Daisy Ridley was not there. Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, I believe is her name, was not there.
No Simon Kinberg.
No Simon Kinberg. No James Mangold. They acknowledge that they're all still working on it. But I do hope by 2027 they'll have almost 2 movies in their pockets again. They'll have, because we'll be past Mando, and when Celebration 2027 drops, we will be literally right on the cusp. Like 2 months after that, the Ryan Gosling movie drops.
Yeah.
So, I definitely think post Mando is really going to be time for them to, for Star Wars in general. Like they're testing the waters to see how that performs, and then I'm hoping they can go truly. If I had to choose 2 projects that I want them to just go all in on, it's the Rey movie and the Dawn of the Jedi movie. I want those so badly. So yeah, I hope we hear about them soon.
Yeah, I mean, extremely cool. I would love more updates on it. I really would like to see Rey as a older, more closer to being one with the Force Jedi, just kind of that master, as opposed to the new learner that we got her as in the sequels. I think it'll be extremely cool. And the only other thing I was thinking about when it comes to this is, and I was thinking about it when we were talking about it at the beginning.
Yeah,
I like that Starfighter is going to be like this standalone outside thing where it's still Star Wars. It's just new characters, new area, blah, 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 blah. It takes place outside the sequels. But And I think it would be cool if the best example I can think of is more of it being like the Batman, where it's like it's Batman, but it's outside of it. It's not like Rogue One, where Rogue One is like this like outside thing, but it's a connector piece between so much of Star Wars, and it feels like Star Wars, and it's great. But Star Wars Starfighter kind of feels like it's going to be set up as like this oh, it's a new thing, kind of like the way they
Yeah.
set up Dawn of the Jedi or the uh like it'll just be outside, like a little bit outside, kind of like maybe like Visions is, except this will be canon.
Yeah.
What I do think would be interesting is I know they're writing a trilogy. If Starfighter does well, I wouldn't be shocked if we end up seeing Ryan Gosling in that trilogy at some point, just
Oh
to pop
yeah.
up. You know what I mean? Like they gave him a movie. If it does well, he'll end up popping up. And
I
who knows?
I wanted to mention this as well. I could potentially see them doing a slight title change for the movie where
Oh, absolutely.
and I think the honestly it'd be very slight, but Andor season 2 has been very intentional about, unlike season 1 of going by Andor a Star Wars story. Andor
Yep.
season 1 did not do that. And
Nope.
after Solo, they kind of dropped the a Star Wars story thing for a while, which personally I was kind of disappointed by because I really liked that as a fan of like, hey, it's not Star Wars blank. It's blank blank a Star Wars story, right? To let you know like this is not Star Wars episode 10 or whatever. I could see them potentially changing to be like I would love if it was called Starfighter, a Star Wars story. You know, like that would be
As two guys who host a 4-person Star Wars book podcast,
yeah.
Star Wars, anything a Star Wars story feels very bookish to
Mm-hmm.
me. Of like it's not, it's a movie, but it's like if you were to pick up a novel, one of the novels of Star Wars, of any of the EU legends or even any of the new stuff, where it's kind of like a story inside of the story of Star Wars, it feels very
Yeah.
bookish to me.
Yeah, like because even when we refer to like a lot of the books that we have read, like we don't ever refer to them as, "Hey, Star Wars Darth Plagueis," or "Star Wars Heir to the Empire," or like we
Yep.
just refer to it as "Heir to the Empire," "Dark Force
Yep.
Rising," "The Last Command," or "Kenobi," you know, whatever.
Yep.
So, and I get like it's the Star Wars. Like, yes, the Star Wars is just planted right on the front of the book, but it feels more like you said, like a tale,
Yeah.
like a legend, or and that's always something that I just eat up in Star Wars. So like, yeah, and they've been very intentional about making it clear with Starfighter that they're like, this is a standalone thing. This is its
Yep.
own disconnected story. Here's when it takes place. It's its own thing. So that's exciting. I think it. I'm just glad that they're going. They might be embracing that style of storytelling again because
Yeah.
I like that. I do like that.
Yeah.
I think Rogue One was really successful, and yes, Solo didn't do nearly as well, but I think that was not due to its title and not due to its cast and other things. I think it was just due to some other ideas that happened. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep. That's exactly right. But other than that, I mean, we talked for 2 hours about Star Wars news. That is
there's a lot of it.
a lot of new Star Wars that is coming
Yeah.
out. And I am excited to watch all of it.
Yep.
I I think at the end of the day, the big thing is just we as fans, as I posted on Instagram a clip of Ahmed Best, which he really was really cool for reposting on Instagram.
Dude,
Um,
legend.
but Ahmed Best, the GOAT, Kelleran Beck, Jar Jar Binks, but more importantly, he is Ahmed Best. Made a very good, had a little bit of a rant, if you want to call it that, more of a just a talk, an explanation, because the term rant gets a little bit, you assume it's obviously aggressive or like talking at somebody.
Yeah.
But he was more just explaining the importance that Star Wars fans have within the community. Obviously, there is no Star Wars without the Star Wars community. We all know this. However, there is no Star Wars on screen without Star Wars fans and the
Mhm.
power that all of those fans have. And that power does not necessarily mean something good. It could be negative comments or things that you have to understand that as much as you may think like if you're on Instagram, dude, and you're like, oh, I only got 100 followers, nobody really knows who I am, and I'm commenting on Star Wars. Nobody really knows that. People are reading those comments. People like us are reading those comments. People like Ahmed Best are reading those comments. People like the people who are at the top of Lucasfilm are reading those comments. So when they end up being throwaway negative comments where even if you don't really feel that way, I'm not going to tell you not to feel a certain way. If you don't like something, you don't like it, and that is 100% valid. But Ahmed Best, who has had uh, mental health issues because of the comments and the negativity that came out of him as Jar Jar Binks with the prequels. And obviously, he's having a great resurgence as Keller and Beck. I've always loved Jar Jar, but it's kind of that same thing with Hayden. People really didn't like Hayden for a long time, and now he's back. People love Hayden. There are so many examples of actors getting the absolutely unnecessary uh, attacking from others online. And I think that's just the biggest thing with all of this new stuff is go into it with an open mind. You may not be excited for it. You may not like it. But if you are in here saying that you love Star Wars, all I ask as a Star Wars fan with you all is just give it a chance. That's all you can ask
Yeah.
for. Your focus determines your reality. To use an analogy from Sam Witwer, we all have a window from when we were super young uh, to right about middle age of when Star Wars is our favorite Star Wars, and we're watching it with pure joy and no cynicism and no criticism. We're just watching it because we love Star Wars and we're truly consuming it. The analogy here is go into this new Star Wars, whatever it may be, the 300 projects that were just announced, with that same, try and have that same window open. That's all it is. It's all fun.
Yeah.
It's all fun for the love of Star Wars, which is why we are here talking about it.
Yep. I have you mentioned something, and this is my last stamp on the topic is you said that Ahmed Best said that we as fans have a power, and that does not always mean that is a good thing.
Yep.
That can be negative comments and things like that. This is not Star Wars, but I will connect it back to Star Wars here in just a second. A life motto of mine is actually from one of my other favorite heroes, and that is Spider-Man, and that is with great power comes great responsibility. Now, even if you are just someone who is just on comment sections and things, and everyone has their opinions, you too have power, and you can use that very irresponsibly. Remember that there are people who are on the receiving end of these comments. If you are not screaming into a pillow, you are screaming into the air for this to be heard. That is the path of the dark side. I'm just gonna say, like, you to give into that hate is something that is straight up the way of the dark side, and that is not the way. Despite me loving some dark side characters, they are not role models. Do not make a Sith Lord your role model. They're really cool, because they are not the ones to be following. They are the dark side for the reason. That being said, choose the light, choose to be good, go into things with open mind, because remember when you were a kid, everything that you got at Star Wars was something new and refreshing. And guess what? There was probably people who hated that Star Wars too.
Yep.
And so, and heaven knows that I have some things in Star Wars that I don't like. But to be
Yep.
honest, my love of Star Wars is stronger than the criticisms that I have of it. I'm gonna Andor is tomorrow, and I'm gonna end this on a Marva Andor quote, but I'm gonna twist it just a little bit. I love Star Wars more than it could ever do wrong.
Boom.
There you go.
That's it. And hey, here's a little explanation for you if you're new here and you haven't seen the first 3 episodes of Determined Focus. My favorite Star Wars quote of all time is your focus determines your reality. There's a reason why the show is called Determined Focus. It's the best personal way that I can live my life is knowing that what I am focusing on, what I am choosing to put my energy into will end up being my reality. If you are focused walking into a movie on, hey, I'm going to have an open mind. I hope this is entertainment. I'm going to give this a great shot. I don't care what I've heard online between leakers and commenters and YouTubers and conversationalists, people like us who are going to talk about it and predict and our own headcanons and have expectations beforehand. If you walk into those movies and go, I'm gonna see if hopefully enjoy this. I want to enjoy this. Rather than going into a movie where you already think that everything you've been told about the movie is bad, it's going to be terrible. It's been shot down in the media. It's been shot down by YouTubers who are talking about it, and then you go into it and you're probably not going to enjoy it, right? If you're focused on it not being good, 9 times out of 10, it's probably not going to be great.
Yeah.
What we're going to do on this show every Monday live is we are going to focus on what we are excited about with Star Wars. We are going to talk about maybe some stuff that we're not excited about, but it's never from a place of us not liking Star Wars and not wanting it to succeed.
Yeah.
As Star Wars fans, if you are going to call yourself a Star Wars fan, you hope it will succeed and you will want it to succeed. No Star Wars fan wants Star Wars to fail. That would be insane. If you are preying on the downfall of Star Wars, sorry, you
never going to like Star Wars.
You're never going to like it, and I'm not going to say you're not a Star Wars fan. What I am going to say is you are completely misguided in what you think Star Wars fandom is. But yeah, that's enough preachiness. You got anything to add before we leave?
No, I do not. You summed that up wonderfully.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, Rhodians, Anzellans, BDX droids, and anything and everything in between, I appreciate you being here. This was a fun first Monday. We'll see you again next Monday. If you haven't already, go follow Grayson on Instagram at Mortis FM. If you don't already follow on me, I don't want you to. And we love you. Your focus determines your reality, as always. We will see you next week. Enjoy Andor tomorrow. If you haven't watched it, we will not be posting spoilers, but I would suggest you watch it before everybody else starts posting spoilers.
Yeah.
May the Force be with you. Your focus determines your reality.
Always remember.